Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Wendy Belready was live.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. You know what today is, Brock?
Hump day!
It is hump day. I know. You guys had forgot. Actually, I forgot, but Brock didn't. Thank goodness. So we're waiting for the president. I'm feeling like this is one of those vibes while he's at the G7. I think this is one of those vibes where he's going to come out and he's going to say something. And I think there's enough of this fake Iranian, what they got out of this deal that's circulating that Trump's going to come out. He was supposed to do it Friday. I don't know if he's going to nip it in the bud and read you the exact the words of the agreement. I don't know, but we're watching it.
I can't get it up. Are you still watching it?
No, I turned it off.
I can't get into it.
What do you guys think is going on with that? I think there's so much symbolism out there right now. I've been thinking about it. And I know a lot of you have gone down various, not so much rabbit holes, but you've peeled back layers of the onion to see symbolism in things that are pretty wild. If I just think about the year 250, right? If Trump had won in 2020, he would not be president for this grand jubilee that's about to hit us. And I think it's almost like you don't want to be that person who's like, it's all preordained, right? I don't want to believe that everything that happens, it happens for a reason. Like sometimes that's nice to say that. And other times you're like, well, why the heck did somebody I care about have something terrible happen to them? I don't see the reason for that. But I'm seeing a lot of reasons for what we're going through right now. It's fascinating. And the stuff that's going on in California is getting gnarly because they're going to get exposed. New York is going to get exposed. I think both states are going to come out as being, I think Minnesota is going to be like child's play when we see what's really been grifting in LA, in San Francisco. I think it's going to be huge. So that's what we're talking about. I see Brock working furiously to see if we can take this. Okay. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. We've got plenty to talk about. First of all, we were number 8 on the leaderboard yesterday. Not killing it with views, but, it begs the question, quality over quantity. And it seems so interesting when you pay attention to the Steven Crowders and a lot of these guys like Dan Bongino. And they have great shows. I haven't watched them, but I know they're extraordinarily popular. They get a lot of attention, but not a lot of engagement. We might not get a lot of attention, but we get an awful lot of engagement. That's because of you guys. So I love you to death. You're keeping us on that leaderboard, even with a couple thousand rumbles a day and maybe 50,000 views, which is huge. People don't have 50,000 people websites or rather podcasts or shows. We do. Hi, Murtek. Good to see you. What's going on, Clover Patch, Taz, Devil? Hello, Doc Wombat. Hi, Moogle. What's going on, Demanda? Hi, Susie. Vipers, sure. Hi, JR100. What's up, Schoolif? Griffin Lady. Hello, Mama J. Mama J4. It's great to be with you guys. Stephen G. Hi, hon. I haven't seen you in a couple days. Maybe you've been here and I wasn't paying attention. Sorry. Hi, Braxton. What's going on, Annie? Hi, Glow. Hey, Thormock. Hi, Jobby. It's good to see you. Jack on the job. Love you, Wendy and Brock. Love you back, babe. Got a great testimonial. One of you wrote in the comments section that you bought the Hunt Chef spices from disinfectwithsniper.com and made meatloaf with one of the spices and said it was phenomenal. I love that idea. I have the Hunt Chef spices at my house. Father's Day, it still will get to you. By Father's Day, think about it, Sniper, Harmony, any of the things that they sell there, and the 250th anniversary flags, disinfectwithsniper.com. Thank you for that. Hi, Jim's Ride. Nice to see you.
If I'm able to get it, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Hi, Greta Baum. What's going on? Walt's Classic Rock. Hi, Jomar. I love you guys.
5, 4, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Happy hump day to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. WendyBellRadio.com. It's the easiest way to follow us. We do the whole show, all 3 hours live streamed. We know the president is speaking right now. We're going to pay attention to what is going on, but I don't want to dip into his audio if it's a bunch of G7 niceties and what have you. We're keeping an eye on it because there's a float going on of a release of the alleged text in this memorandum of understanding. You think you've got it, Brock? All right, let's dial into it. We're going to say, hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Here's the president.
50 years. That was the biggest event. He was he was of Iran and respected, but he was a mad genius. He was a genius, the father of the roadside bomb. When you see young men, and in some cases women, mostly men, walking around without legs, without arms, with a face that's been blown to smithereens. It's Soleimani, 95%, 96.2 they say or something, 95%. That was Soleimani did it. Happened to come from Iran, and I blew him up. You remember that? I blew him up in the Valley of Death. He got off his plane and we followed him, and in all fairness, because they've been wonderful to me, Israel, but they didn't want to do that attack. They were all set the night before the attack. They informed me they didn't want to do it, so I had to make a decision. I made the decision to do it, but it was a joint venture, as we say in the real estate business. That was a joint venture between Israel and us. We studied it for a month. We knew what plane he was going to be on almost a month before. He only traveled on commercial airliners, the big ones with lots of people, because he knew we wouldn't shoot him down. He's very smart. But we knew he was going to be on that plane, followed him, and then Israel informed me that they won't do it. And I had to make a decision. I had some very good generals, and not the ones you see on television, very good. And I want to thank also Pete Hegseth and General Raisin Kane, who's phenomenal. Okay, these guys are phenomenal. They can't be better. But I had some good generals, and I said to them, well, if Israel's not going to do it, we're all prepared. Do we do it? Do you like doing it or not? He says, sir, if you want to do it, we can do it. How well? We'll do it just as well or better. We'll do it ourselves. We don't need anybody. So we took out Soleimani. One of the biggest events to happen, the Middle East, maybe ever, but they say 50 years, they say 100 years. I was with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He said it's maybe the biggest event that has ever taken place. Nobody could believe it. So that's when it started. It didn't start like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago. And Obama wouldn't do it. What Obama did was he did the JCPOA. He loaded up a plane with $1,700,000,000 in green cash from banks all over Washington, Maryland, and Virginia. They were stripped of all their cash. They had no cash to do payrolls. It all went into a Boeing 757, a wonderful plane, and they flew it to Iran. And they gave it out to people. They bribed people. They thought they were going to get it done. Then they gave billions and billions of dollars after that. And they got a deal that was a road to a nuclear weapon. I get so angry, I guess. I'm allowed to get angry when I watch the Democrats. They talk about it all the time. We had this deal done. You had a deal that was going to give them legally a nuclear weapon. And if that happened, Israel would have been blown away. And in all fairness to Bibi Netanyahu, who happens to be a good man, gets a little excited sometimes. But he happens to be a very good man. We've had an amazing partnership. He's been an amazing prime minister. We have a little dispute over Lebanon. I say, you can do a little softer touch, Bibi. You don't have to knock down a building every time somebody walks into it that's from Hezbollah. But it's been an amazing partnership. But he will say, we're the big partner, and he's the very small partner, and that's true. So he came to the country, and he begged Barack Hussein Obama, the president, not to do the JCPOA. He said it could be the end of Israel, and it would have been if I didn't come along. And Obama didn't listen to him. Bibi actually went to Congress and pleaded with them, and he got nowhere. And they had this horrible deal that was horrible for Israel, and that's where it stood. And then I came along and I terminated that deal. It had very little time left. And that was a short-term deal. You know, with countries, you need hundreds of years. You don't need 8 years and 9 years. This isn't like you're signing a lease on a candy store at the corner. You need hundreds of years. This was a short-term lease. It expired long ago. Had I let it run, it expired. You wouldn't have been around. A lot of people wouldn't have been around. But Israel would have been terminated. I think the whole Middle East would have been terminated. You saw that when everybody was shocked that all these missiles, they were aimed at these different places. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Think of it. Bahrain, Kuwait. They got hit. Nobody thought that was, even I didn't think it was going to happen. They didn't think it was going to happen. They were going to take out the entire Middle East, including Israel. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it within moments after getting it. So I made it very tough for them when I terminated the Barack Hussein Obama catastrophe. JCPOA, one of the worst deals. NAFTA might have been worse, but that was worse economically. This deal was really dangerous, what he did. He gave them everything, including a lot of money, which we don't give them, by the way, just in case you have any question. We'll be giving this out so you can read it and you can see. And it's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. You know, I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to, because we're never going to let them have a nuclear weapon. But they've agreed not to, and you'll see that very clearly in the agreement. But then the second phase of that was they were building, or they were enriching material, as they say. I call it nuclear dust. They were enriching material under granite mountains. Granite being, for those not in the construction business, granite being a very strong, the strongest stone. It's not as pretty as marble, but it's much more, it's much stronger. It's a lot stronger. Like the new granite I put on the stairs of the White House going to the Oval Office, the black granite, it's rated 1 million years plus. No marble's rated that. Marble's rated 100 years if it's outside. So these are granite mountains. And the B-2s came along and they hit those air shafts in the dark at 1 o'clock in the morning with no moon. They had a beam going right up everywhere. Those guys did a job, and then they were criticized by certain members of the press like CNN for possibly not doing that much damage. And it turned out that the damage was far greater. Those mountains collapsed right on top of everything. Nobody's going to get that for a long time unless we want to get it. We'll get it. But we're the only ones that can. And they say China has the equipment to get it, and we have the equipment to get it. And it's actually not valuable. Not a lot of value, but we'd like to get it psychologically, but nobody's touching it. We also have cameras. That's what Space Force is. We have the greatest military in the world, by the way. But I'm proud of Space Force because I started it. We have Space Force cameras on every single door, well, there are no doors. It's been pretty well shattered, but every area of that, if somebody walks in and he's got a badge with his name on it, like Mohammed something, which is about a 50-50 guess, Mohammed something, they can tell the name. They can give you a serial number. We can see things you wouldn't believe, the quality of the stuff that we have. That's why we've been so successful. That's why our blockade will go down in the annals of history as being unbelievable. Nobody's ever seen a blockade like that. It's like a steel wall. So what happened is we then terminated that, and I call it the nuclear dust, and that was the end of that. But if we didn't hit that with the B-2 bombers, or if it wasn't successful, they would have had a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb at a very high level, not the highest, but it would have been a very high level. We have much bigger, but we hope that we're never going to have to use it. We have the most. Russia has second. China is very far behind, but going to catch up, unfortunately. They're catching up, but we have the most. We have the most powerful, but we also have the most. But Russia's not far behind. And then you have China in third place, but within 5 years, they'll be probably even. And we ought to make a denuclearization deal. It would be so great. We don't need all of that. We don't need to be able to blow up the whole world 300 times over. It's terrible. It's really, if we could do a denuke deal, I'd love it. And one of those two is very willing to do it, I will tell you. But the other one is less willing to do it, and you need all of them. So the deal we reached with Iran on Sunday will be signed shortly. Tomorrow, maybe the next day. Subject deals. My whole life is all about deals. That's all I ever did is make deals. And crazy things happen with deals. I've gone into deals where it's a guarantee. No way it can not be signed. And it doesn't get signed. And I've gone into deals that you have no chance of making, and they go like nothing. So, but we're going to most likely sign a deal. They want to sign a deal. And they've been acting very appropriately. They took a big 2 hits last week. Those are 2 very big hits. So importantly, Iran has agreed that they will neither produce nor procure a nuclear weapon, neither produce.
And that is the point we were looking for, ladies and gentlemen. The president speaking at the G7 summit in France, and he's saying, basically starting his comments with, I took out Soleimani in the Valley of Death. If you need symbolism, you're going to have an awful lot of symbolism in the next several weeks and months, ladies and gentlemen. And him saying, we've destroyed Iran and they have one choice, and the choice is peace. Peace through strength. And that is the offer on the table. So everybody out there who's releasing details of what they say is this memorandum of understanding, until I hear the president read it for himself, I urge you, don't believe anybody. They're desperate. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Harry Enton tells us exactly who President Trump wants to be his heir apparent. Or does he? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right, so I'm interested in hearing what he has to say. You could tell he's hoarse. You could tell that he's tired. You could tell that there's been a lot going on, and we're going to have a whole segment dedicated towards what happened at the G7 summit. Fascinating to see 5 of the G7 original members are the ones who did not comply with President Trump's request. Help us fortify the Strait of Hormuz, help us defend the Strait of Hormuz. And they said unequivocally, fungu. That's a little concerning, right? So anyway, that's the story. Is something wrong?
Did you bump the numbers on that?
I don't know. I don't see it. All right, guys, I'm sorry. If the audio was wacky, there's a little wheel on this thing I might have bumped. A little hot. Okay, sorry, guys. He's been trying to equalize it over there. You can only do so much with that. Let me tell you quickly about Texas Bullion Exchange. I talk about Wendy Loves Gold every day for a reason. And there's a reason that they are my number one sponsor. They sponsored the podcast. You'll hear them every day in the first hour of each segment of the podcast. You'll hear them on this program. And also they have radio spots that we run for them. And I care deeply about Texas Bullion Exchange, wendylovesgold.com, because one of the strongest things that you can do, I think, moves you can make, is passing your wealth on to the people you love. And by doing that through gold and silver. You can have, yes, a gold-backed IRA, or you could just buy gold and silver. If you have money sitting around in a checking account or a savings account earning no money for you, consider calling 855-927-5557. 855-927-5557, wendylovesgold.com. Ask how you can qualify for a Silver Eagle autographed by me. If you open a gold-backed IRA, this bad boy is yours. That's the case, if I'm not mistaken. 855-927-5557, wendylovesgold.com. So I was interested in what the president was going to say. I think there's an awful lot going on that is very interesting at 30,000 feet to look down on. And I'm going to kind of sprinkle bits of what I was going to do for my monologue, which obviously just got blown out, on you, because I think you don't have to be a dreamer, an astrologer, some kind of weird savant to see numbers and to see imaging and messaging and even biblical predictions and such right before your very eyes. And I think it's fascinating. Harry Enten, I think, is kind of fascinating today, too, because I'm on the fence. I don't know if he's trying to tell you what to think or if he's being used to gauge what people really think. It's different. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure I see Harry Enten as a political operative, as a strategist. I think he's just kind of a goofy guy who likes numbers. But he's sure useful in many ways, isn't he? Sure useful. Address the media and ostensibly the world at the G7 summit. It's interesting to hear what he says because he completely dismantles this favored talking point that Barack Obama signed this joint, JCPOE, this joint memorandum understanding, basically, of what his administration was going to do to placate Iran and basically build them a runway to a nuclear weapon and fund it. Fund the whole damn thing, because that's what he did. And the deal was supposed to be like, yeah, but when you get one, just remember who helped you. You don't want to bomb America. Like, does that make you guys feel good? No. And Trump is like, look, it was a crappy deal. I blew up the deal. This is what we did. We blew them up and their uranium. They can't do it again. And the cards are on the table. The move is theirs. So we feel pretty good. If nothing changes for America, we're good. But obviously the Middle East needs some love. Okay, so let's talk about Harry. So J.D. Vance was all over the circuit yesterday, media circuit. And Harry Enten gets to the big board and he's like, look, the likelihood of him being the GOP nominee, this is what the prediction markets are saying today versus January. Listen.
They have been tumbling. They have been falling down. What are we talking about? A real closing here since the beginning of the year. Chance to be the 2028 GOP nominee. You know, you go back a few months ago. Look at this. Clear favorite, 50% chance. Marco Rubio way back there at 11. But look at this. The gap, it is closing. It is closing. Yes, Vance is still the nominal favorite, but Marco Rubio right behind him at 28%. So you know what happened during that period? Obviously, the Iran war happened during that period. And that made J.D. Vance's chances tumble and has made Marco Rubio's chances go right up. It's neck and neck.
It's an interesting time to do this, too, because Democrats, with the war in Iran all but settled, they really could use a Republican civil war here on the home front to deflect from their own mounting problems. And paying attention to Harry kind of tips our hand to that. He goes on and says, you know, it's not just the country, it's Republicans who are really cooling on J.D. Vance, at least according to one poll. Listen.
Net approval rating among Republicans in January. Look at this. Vance slightly more popular than Marco Rubio, 81.75 points. Look at that, the net approval rating. But now Marco Rubio, at least according to Quinnipiac, is more popular than J.D. Vance is among Republicans. He's up 2 points since January, while J.D. Vance's net approval rating has actually fallen at plus 69 points. Look, this is among Republicans, right? You're going to be popular no matter what. The question is who is more popular. And at this point, at least if you're looking at Quinnipiac, Marco Rubio's job approval rating among Republicans is higher than J.D. Vance's.
Now, they're really insistent that you don't like JD, or that at least they want to convince you that enough people out there are cooling on his potential candidacy. So then they say, all right, so the prediction markets, the Republicans, let's go to home state of Ohio. How do folks in Ohio, Republicans in Ohio, how do they feel about JD Vance? They got to love him, right? Hometown rule? Well, we'll see.
What I always say, you go to a home state, the people who know you best, that to me oftentimes gives you an idea of their political future. And in this one, take a look here. Now, this is the general electorate, but Vance's net favorability rating in Ohio, you go back to the 2024 election, he was at plus 5 points. Even in Ohio, in J.D. Vance's home state, among the electorate overall, he is underwater among independents. Look at this. He's 27 points underwater. J.D. Vance, not so popular in the Buckeye State.
Wow. And if we're not done piling on the vice president of the United States, if that's not bad enough, not even men are liking J.D. Vance, allegedly.
How's he doing among women, among men? Well, he's underwater with both of them. Among men, he's slightly underwater at minus 2 points. Of course, if you're a Republican, you need to be popular with men if you're going to win a national election. Among women, he is way underwater. He's 26 points underwater. And the gender gap in the Quinnipiac University poll, when you matched him up against other Republicans in the Trump cabinet, the highest, the largest gender gap, it actually belonged to J.D. Vance. He doesn't need to win women if he's going to win in 2028, but he can't be this unpopular among them.
I mean, I find this very interesting. So it's not even so that the poll is intending you to believe one thing or another, right? When you start going up to 30,000 feet, you start looking at why. What an odd thing for Harry Enton to put out yesterday. The same day that J.D. Vance was making the media circuit. He was over on The View. He was on The Five on Fox. He was on with Hannity. He was on with Gutfeld. He was on all over the place. J.D. Vance. Why? Why? And then why would it be that Harry would tell us as he's making the rounds, and by the way, doing a banger job, he was great, that, I don't know. People don't really like him. I don't know. Something to think about. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, there is no doubt that Trump wants JD to succeed him, or does he want you to make that decision? We'll talk that next. Okay, I am so excited because I'm going to do a little 1-2 here. All right. So maybe you and your siblings are thinking about something to get for your father or your dad, their dad. Maybe grandpa, maybe your own husband. Maybe there's a gift everybody wants to get in on. And you can only have so many ties, so many golf things, so much beer stuff. Like there's only so much you can get for dads. That's really kind of cool. Why wouldn't you spring together for the gift of sleep? Ghostbed.com/Wendy. My name, Wendy, and the promo code is an extra 10% off. When was the last time your father slept on a brand new mattress? When was the last time he felt cool at night during the hot summer months? When was the last time he didn't wake up hot and sweating, tossing and turning and like sore? When was the last time he slept through the night? Maybe this is your husband. Maybe this is the gift for him. And how about 101 nights to sleep on it? Is that ridiculous? Yes, it is. But you could do it. You could sleep on a brand new mattress all summer long and determine if you like it. And you're going to like it. Ghostbed.com/Wendy, made in America, made by a really cute family who cares enormously about sleep. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. You get basically money back guarantee. You can send it back and get your money back if you don't like it, but you're going to like it. Then after that, you're like, well, you can't just have a great mattress. It's super duper to have sheets. Cozy Earth is back, you guys. And I'm just going to tell you, this is 20% off. This is through, I think, the end of this week. Okay. And I love this. I love this. Every single mattress in my house, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 mattresses in my house, and all of them have Cozy Earth sheets. That's not just me getting a freebie from Cozy Earth because they wanted me to talk nicely about them. That was, oh, by the way, and there's an 8th set because Michael has it. He asked for Cozy Earth a bundle for his birthday. Oh, and Brock got them too. I've bought 9 sets of Cozy Earth sheets. People don't just buy 9 sets of sheets because they do it because they're the best freaking sheets you'll ever sleep on. Made from viscose, from bamboo. They are also of a cooling fabric. It is mind-bending. Sleep on them for 100 days. And if you don't like them, they'll give you your money back, but you're going to love them. 20% off. Go to CozyEarth.com. I'm going to see if they made me put in a /. I'm not sure that was the case. Hold on. Let me get out of this particular part. CozyEarth.com. Just use my name, Wendy, to get that total 20% off. And it kind of looks like it's pretty special, this deal. So 9 sets of sheets and towels I've bought and pillows. It's a pretty fantastic company. CozyEarth.com, promo code Wendy. Oh, by the way, when they get to you, they're like their own present. They come in their own little canvas bag, which is like zips up and you can carry it like to the store. I've saved all of them. I look like I have very fancy bags. They're not. They're Cozy Earth, but they're fabulous. So you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Dad's going to love it. Just going to say. All right. Let's see where we are.
You know how we say for the ladies, get it for your husband.
Because you're going to like it?
So he can
Yeah.
rub it. You're going to get the mattress too.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheets too.
Mm-hmm.
Can't beat that.
It is.
Be nice to have some new sheets and towels.
Brock has said on numerous occasions that he thought it was sort of dippy that at first he was like, got me some sheets. Thanks. And I'm like, okay, well, you just wash those, sweetie bug, and put them on your bed and then we'll talk later. And then he was like,
Yeah, I literally have not used any other sheets.
I washed them and I put them back on.
Yep.
I don't need some super stacked linen closet. I have Cozy Earth and they have like a 10-year guarantee. So if they start to fray or something goes wonky.
No, the best part
You're going to love them.
is when you start timing out when you're going to put them in the wash. So you can put them on your bed right before you go to bed.
You've got to do that.
warm.
You have to do that and take a REM sleep. Can you imagine that? You'd be lights
Listen,
out.
I love REM. Don't even need it.
Not with warm, Cozy Earth sheets. And I'm telling you, on a pillow top mattress, I'm telling you what, how you doing? So nice. All right, let's see what's going on with you guys. Hi, Jobby. I'm going to see who's been commenting, helping me pimp over at the comment section.
Just so you all know while she's reading, the Trump sound, that was a direct line from Fox. So
yeah,
thank you, Fox. 1, for letting us rip you off. And 2, that audio, they had the same audio. Everybody else had, that's G7 audio.
Yeah, and it didn't help that my mic was over.
No, that had nothing to do with it.
My mic was over.
There was if you guys could hear it, probably there was like this high pitched buzz.
So that was from
that I could hear.
Oh, okay.
And that has nothing to do with that.
Hi, faith, hope, love. Sounds like the establishment wants Rubio. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think is going on? So if Vance is out, see, I think they go out and they took Caroline Leavitt's position for, each one. Why? I don't know. Kind of give the people a little teaser beezer. Who do you guys like? So I feel, or at least I did until yesterday, I kind of felt that Trump was really hot on J.D. Vance being the next presidential nominee for the Republican Party. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm going to be honest with you. I have absolutely no clue now. I have no clue. So J.D. goes out on this media circuit. He's going to swing by and he's going to sit down and talk to the women on The View. And that's fraught with all kinds of danger. The overarching danger of being a conservative in an administration in control is that stuff that they think You don't. And you have to listen to them, the college-educated toxic liberal chicks, the scourge of our society, finger wag and tell him what's going on as though he's not completely knowledgeable. And the ladies use things like the New York Times and polls as the basis of their ire. And he really has to smile and be a gentleman. And in so doing, even though there's no negotiating with crazy people, the crazy people get exposed. They sound malignant, right? So I'm thinking to myself, did JD decide to do this? Did Trump ask him to do this? He also swung by Fox and spent some time there. We're going to get to some of that audio. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think if we've ever had a president on his way out who wanted the people truly to decide, it's this president. It's not a cycle. It's not a machine. It's not a mill. He's not going to be appointed, whomever it is, and likely a he. I think this president wants us to decide. Period. So let's get to some of the audio. Let's start with The View, and I'm going to apologize in advance for this. So Joy Behar asks JD about President Trump allegedly calling inflation a hoax. And JD dismantles that, sets the record straight, but you can hear the pushback, even as he's speaking to them and saying, let me tell you what really happened. I was there. They still bark at him and tell him that he's wrong. This is the problem with the liberal mind. It never has any room for doubt. It can never say, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And then when it's pressed with actual facts and data, the meltdown doesn't happen. They just double down and sound more ignorant. Listen.
Okay. So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trumpe, I call it. And a White House cage match. All these things. Why is he doing them when you just, everybody knows that Americans are struggling? What is he spending all this money for?
Well, I got to defend the president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax. And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden administration, okay? Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it. But we inherited an affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
What he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said. That wasn't a direct. Are you his interpreter or are you his vice president? Come on.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over. And now, again, we already see gas prices today, $4.06 a gallon, too high, but way down from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot, there's a lot we got to do, but I think that we're doing as much as we can. We're going to keep on working at it.
Sounds reasonable. He isn't flying off the handle. He isn't fighting back. He is pleasant. He looks handsome. He's smiling. He's doing a lot better job than I would. I'd be like, Joy, you ignorant boop, right? And then Sunny Hostin jumps in and she tries to tell the sitting vice president that most of the illegals being rounded up by ICE agents aren't in fact criminals. They're just being separated from their parents. It's just so inhumane. But she's not interested in hearing about the 450,000 children who were trafficked here by themselves, who the Biden administration lost. It's a curious thing. You'll hear it.
The majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait. But the majority are not criminals.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay, so you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions.
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border. And by the way,
Please hold on.
Please hold on. Whoopi Goldberg wants to jump in. But first, like, they don't want to talk about the reality. Now, is that willful blindness? Is that just being a scumbag? Is that not knowing, legitimately having no clue? Because if you're a product of one source of information and it's CNN, this is what you think. So this is where they talk about the Epstein situation. And Anna Navarro is going to try to tell J.D. Vance that that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, they were best friends. They were thick as thieves, J.D. And he brings the facts.
You know, one of the things you see in the Epstein emails is that Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump literally reported Jeffrey Epstein to the police. That's one of the things that came out of these files.
They were best friends for about a decade. And remember, he signed that Transparency Act under duress when some Republican women, congresswomen like Lauren Boebert, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, did not give in to his pressure of not signing. He brought Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room to pressure her into caving on not voting for that bill.
So let me respond to that. So
that's all true.
Let me respond to that. So number one is, yes, Donald Trump, and he said this, he knew Jeffrey Epstein back in the 1980s. He also threw Jeffrey Epstein out of his club when he found out he was a creep and reported him to the police. That's something that the media often misses when it reports this story. They tell the fact that they knew each other in the 80s, which the president himself admits. They ignore the fact that he narked on him to the police and led ultimately to JeffreyEpstein's downfall. To that point, Anna, you know the Republican Party. Well, it's one of the things that led to law enforcement investigation. But on the point that you made,
it was allegedly over a real estate deal that they got into a fight over.
But the email says actually
they didn't just know each other. Let's just be truthful and transparent here. They didn't just know each other.
He's in a lot of
they were incredibly close friends.
He reported him to the police. That's what I'm saying. That is objective. That is objectively true. But Anna made another point that I think Whoopi, if I may, because Anna made a very important point. This question about, did Donald Trump release these files only under duress from Republicans? And Anna, you know the Republican Party probably better than I do. The idea that Donald Trump runs around afraid of Republican congressmen as opposed to the other way around is kind of crazy.
You know, I don't condone slapping people, but I can understand why you'd want to. I mean, right? I could totally see that. I get it. I totally get. There is this cackling pack mentality. There's this, I need to assert that I know something. The reality is, you know only so much as you've ever allowed yourself to absorb or you've been told. They don't know jack. If they knew anything, the files would have absolutely destroyed President Trump if he was involved in anything, right? They would have played that card long ago. None of this unraveling. The cabal would never allow this unraveling to happen, and they cannot let it go. And then there's this, JD, on President Trump and how he, JD, was wrong about what Trump could do as America's leader.
First of all, it's been well covered that I was a critic of Donald Trump back in 2015 and 2016. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here as the Vice President of the United States in the Trump administration. Well, Joy, a little humility, actually. I think that when you make predictions and those predictions turn out to be false, you got to ask yourself, well, what made me wrong about that? What did I not understand or not appreciate? For example, I said that Donald Trump's economic policies would not lead to wage growth. They did in the first term. That was actually a major, major thing. I said that we couldn't bring back any of those factory jobs because I kind of had given into this idea that those jobs were disappearing. But actually, Donald Trump, you saw a manufacturing boom during that administration. So there's a certain point. Let me just so there's a certain point where you say, you know, I made predictions about this. I ended up being wrong. Yeah. And in politics and anything, I think it's important to just say, you know what? I got some things wrong, and I was wrong about him.
Now, who wins that debate? J.D. Vance or the women of The View? See, there's not going to be any kind of understanding there. But the people who watched that program, some of them watched that. And that's the first time they've seen J.D. Vance live and unfiltered. Does he sound like a scumbag? Is he trying to screw everybody over? Does he seem like he's covering for the most corrupt president in American history? No, he's actually handling kind of an embarrassing show of Chickville, attacking him. Then he goes over to the 5. And he's over at Fox, and he's talking with Jessica Tarlov, the lone lib on the panel. And this conversation has to do about patriotism. And a poll that she found that says Republicans are less patriotic, less proud to be American when they are not the party in power. This is how J.D. Vance responds.
What do you make, and some of it is obviously partisan, that, when your party's out of power, you have less pride in the country. But what do you make of this huge drop off?
So just, I don't think that's right. Why does that need to be true that if your party's out of power, you should have less pride in your country? Like, I guarantee that when Barack Obama was president or Joe Biden was pretending to be president, that you had Republicans who still said they're proud of America. They're proud of our military. They're proud of the great people of our country. They're proud of our natural beauty. Like it says, I think 29% of Americans or of Democrats are proud of their country. I assume that includes you, even though you disagree with the president administration. So what seems to me so bizarre about this is that we've allowed a culture to develop where people feel like the country is the country's politics. And I think it's actually connected to the violent rhetoric, where if you disagree with somebody, you can justify killing them. It's really, really a bad thing. I wish Democrats, all of them, were proud of our country. We should be proud of our country.
Love your country and still hate the party in power, can't you? I mean, do those things have to be mutually exclusive? No. I thought he did a great job. And you know what he did? He was a gentleman. He set up people, even, what's her face, Jessica Tarlov, Anna Navarro, set them up and gave them a compliment or included them by name. And they can't stand it. It's masterclass. So what do you think? Do you like him or not? Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, got to hear this. This great awakening is for real. Adam Carolla, comedian, podcaster, dropping a firebomb, and it's fabulous next. That's when you take somebody who's ready to pounce on you, and you can see them, and they're like,
humanize.
And you're like, well, I'm sure you're as patriotic as all of the other people in this poll. So if we look at it that way, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, yeah. And then what did he say to Anna Navarro? She was a alleged Republican strategist, right? Before she drank the Kool-Aid and what have you. And so he said, well, Anna, you probably know more about the Republican Party than I do. No, I don't. Like, what is she going to say? It's masterclass without being pandering.
Not just that. You want to know how you can tell someone lost an argument? Watch CNN. One night with Scott Jennings and whomever else they have on the Republican side. When he's saying something and you hear someone say, would you agree with me? That means they've lost the debate. If you're ever talking to someone and they stop you from making your point to say, would you agree with me that blah, 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 they've now lost the debate.
That's a very interesting point. I haven't paid attention to it like that, but that's really well said. Let's talk quickly about Chuck Juice, chuckdefense.com / Wendy.
Plenty of time.
chuckdefense.com / Wendy. So, Chuck Norris as a legend, whether it was with, martial arts, action movies. He's an American icon. And before he passed away, he left behind something a lot of people don't know about. He spent years researching what actually kept him strong, what allowed him to be so focused, so energized, so sharp into his later years. And he put it into a video that is still out there. Honestly, if you watch it, I've watched it multiple times, you don't stop thinking about it. It seeps into your brain and it changes how you think about things. So he breaks down 3 specific foods that he recommends out of the gate you cut out immediately. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I think that you need to go through the journey of the process yourself. it's worthwhile. And the video, it's totally free to watch. It's not long, but he shares the kind of thing that you need to know if you're honestly ready to have that same kind of strength and longevity. So chuckdefense.com, Chuck Juice, Brock has the product right here. It's called Morning Kick. It's from Roundhouse Provisions. This is Chuck Norris's baby. And it literally is, it is his gift to all of us. And he calls it Morning Kick for a reason. You jumpstart your day with this and you feel a difference. You feel an energy and a stamina that I kind of liken to my Blood Flow 7, but it's a simple scoop. Stick
you
it
feel
in.
Like you could go beat up 12 guys at a time.
Think about it, right? And how would you like to start your day rather than dragging yourself out the door to work, but rather being like, let's go. Like, I'm excited. I want to do this. Let's have a great day.
Drink it in the car on your way to work before you have to deal with coworkers.
It's chuckdefense.com/Wendy. The videos used to piss me off. I used to hate them.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
I like the Dr. Gundry one.
I love the Dr. Gundry one. And I love Dr. Marty's.
Yes.
I love Dr. Marty's with his food that we still buy. Look, we buy into sponsors. They might dip in and out of us. But if I tell you that this is something that we're doing it. If I tell you I buy Cozy, I buy Cozy. I buy a lot of Cozy Earth. If I tell you that Ghost Bed is all that, it's all that. It's all that. Or I won't talk about them at all. chuckdefense.com/Wendy. You know, I'm also going to talk to you about this other one, this lymph support. I think it's important, but we'll wait until the top of the hour. Adam Carolla just...
Don't get me started.
Pop out and tell the truth and do it in a glorious way. Poor Brock got carpal tunnel editing the swear words out of Adam Carolla's 2-minute conversation, which he broke down into 2 bites for me. But it's so important. This is how you know the Great Awakening isn't just on. The pendulum is starting to gain speed. It went to crazy. It went to completely indefensible nut job. What the hell are we doing? And then it started to be like, and start moving the other way. It's gaining speed, and we are reclaiming our country. We are reclaiming our morality. We are putting our flag in the sand of traditional values that freaking work. And Adam Carolla says it. Look, if you don't know who he is, he's funny. He's a comedian. He's a podcaster. He spent a hell of a lot of time with Spencer Pratt. He's a Californian. He's a truth teller that I can tell. And he takes particular umbrage with the whole both sides argument. If anybody says Democrats do things that are dubious, that are corrupt, that are just ungodly, indefensible, and then somebody comes out and says, well, both sides are guilty. Adam Carolla is like, yeah, in fact, that's not true. It's not both sides. Oh my, here's part 1.
When people do that thing, it's always like when people go, and it always drives me nuts. They go, I know, CNN, they got their agenda, but hey, you know, Fox got an agenda too. Fox, you know, they're both doing their thing. I go, okay, let's check their batting average on COVID, because CNN lied about everything and was wrong about everything, right. And Fox was right about everything, and CNN was wrong about it. Should we go with Hunter Biden's laptop? Should we go with Joe Biden being senile? Let's pick a subject. And we'll figure out who's, well, they're both saying something different. And they both have an agenda. But one side is wrong all the time, right, and lying. And the other side has a much higher batting average. And so, right, you can go, people do that, you know, Republican, Democrat, they're all bad. The Democrats are bat crazy. Right. You couldn't have said this during Bill Clinton's time, but now you can. And so you go, I don't like this whataboutism. Like they're both. Right. One side is pushing hard for transgender kids, right, and wants to overregulate and tax your life, and wants Elon Musk dead, and that's basically. And the other side wants lower taxes, right, and they want to own guns, and they want the government to leave them alone.
Yeah, you cannot compare. Your suck does not become our problem. We don't share in your suck. I don't have your views if you're a liberal. I 100% disagree with your whole ideology. If you're part of the socialist, whack job, communist movement in this country, no. I think you're a clear and present danger. Don't lump me in as a conservative, as a Republican. I agree with what he says. And he continues. Adam Carolla says, look, we don't want the crazy crap Democrats are selling. And quite frankly, we're done with it. I was like, what?
I don't want my kid getting trans, and I don't want trans story hour at the local library. No, one side is not clinically insane.
Right.
They have their foibles. You may disagree with Iran or certain policies or foreign policy, but they're not bat crazy and ruining everything at the same time. The right did not ruin Los Angeles and California. The right didn't ruin Seattle. It didn't ruin Chicago. It didn't ruin Portland. The right didn't ruin anything. The left ruined. So stop being so magnanimous and I'm against all politicians.
Yeah.
No,
They're all corrupt.
Defund the police is a idea that gets people killed. Fund the police is a good idea that saves more lives.
True.
And abolish ICE is a crazy idea too. And rounding up criminal felons is a good idea. So off.
So F off, he says. You know what? This is where people are. This is where we are. The exact polar opposites that the Democrat Party gives versus what the Republican Party gives. How many times do you need to be Acme frying panned to the face to see that you're being given the most extreme choices? Do you want kids to be manipulated and groomed by crazy people who didn't have reasonable relationships with their fathers and now are whack jobs who want to chop off body parts and stitch other body parts on? Do you want that? Or do you want to go to a school where there's choice, where people of any economic or other kind of financial obstacle would be able to choose the school they want their child educated in? Like, which side do you want? Wacky public school teacher chicks who want to groom and go into the transition closet with your kid? Or over here where they teach about history and economics and how to read and do math and all of that stuff? Like, it's not complicated. And the cops, the police idea, right? So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to go take you to the G7, what's been going on, because it is Trump's new world order. And it is quite a thing to watch in real time. And you will with us next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's wild. All right, so I want to tell you about this. You know, and I noticed this in a lot of folks who are even just my age or a little bit older. You start getting this swelling in your legs, and you really begin to notice it when you've got socks that leave. If you take off your socks, you've got that mark, and then you can see like a puff of your swollen leg over it. And you're like, what the bejeebers is that? Well, it could be a sign to you that something is seriously wrong. And there is a product out there that I'm very interested in. It's called it's from a company called Pure Health Research, purehealthresearch.com. And with my name, Wendy, as the promo code, you're going to get 35% off this dietary supplement called Lymph System Support. Well, what's that all about? If your legs ever feel like they're heavy, like you're dragging them around, if your socks leave those deep marks around your ankles, if your legs just look puffier than they used to, a lot of people are like, well, that's just getting older. No, it's not. It could be your lymphatic system. So your lymph system is like your body's internal drainage network. I didn't know that. It helps move excess fluid out and fats and waste out of your system. And when that lymph system slows down, fluid can build up, especially in your legs and your ankles and your feet. And this is where lymph system support comes in. So this formula right here, super powerful, contains 8 science-backed ingredients, including bromelain from pineapple, dandelion extract, burdock root, rutin, which is designed to support healthy lymphatic flow and help reduce uncomfortable fluid retention. You didn't hear a bunch of polysyllabic words that I can't pronounce because they're from Big Pharma. That's not what this is. This is all natural stuff, things that exist in nature that we know about that work, that can help your lymph system move out the waste, the fats, the yuck that you need to drain, right? Why wouldn't you? Many people who try this notice very quickly that their legs feel lighter, that they're less swollen, and they even look more toned and slender. Right now, you can try it. Totally risk-free. 365-day money-back guarantee, plus you're going to get a free bottle of curcumin extract while supplies last. PureHealthResearch.com, code Wendy, 35% off. It's one of those things that when I can get involved with a company that's going outside of the realm of big pharma, I'm like, I'm digging me some of that. That makes good sense. PureHealthResearch.com, promo code Wendy. This is just, it's gotten a little out of control. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to tame this, but that new shampoo is kind of nuts, right? Okay, hold on. So tell me, how are you guys? And what did you think? What do you think about JD? Do you like JD? Do you like Marco? Some people say JD is part of the deep state. Same with Susie Wiles. Same with Pam Bondi. I don't know. I don't know any of these people, but I kind of pay attention to what they say. And I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to hear. What do you guys think? Brock and we've gone back and forth about JD. Like, I don't have any evidence to submit that he would be anything other than what he says he is. But, you know, would I be like, what? No. Like, honestly, what would it take to shock you anymore? I remember I used to bitch about that in television when reporters would be like, a shocking story out of Brookline. And you're like, really? What's shocking anymore? Like, the rapist is under my bed right now. Now I'm shocked. But anything else going on? Are you really shocked anymore? No, I wouldn't be shocked. What do you think is going on with JD, Brock?
I think they have a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah, I think they're test driving some folks.
And I think with the G7, you have to have Rubio there with you since he's Secretary of State. I think it's curious that the book tour is coinciding with Iran.
What's the book tour?
That's what why he was on that media
JD was
tour. Yeah.
JD was on his book tour.
Yeah,
I didn't know
a book.
I didn't know he was pimping a book. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
Sorry about that.
I think that's a little interesting, but I don't know. I think we look.
It's funny. I got no clips from the book.
I think we look at things differently now, like because it's so rare that an administration have such a deep bench. I mean, you could put Stephen Miller out anytime. You could put J.D. Vance out anytime. Marco Rubio, any of these guys you can put. Even Scott Bessent.
I was going to say Scott Bessent. He would bore
Lee Zeldin.
He would bore the snap out of you, but
yeah,
freaking brilliant.
All these guys are just
brilliant,
top-notch communicators, and getting there and not being pushed. Pete Hegseth. These guys aren't. They're willing to fight back, which is a testament to Trump because Trump lets them fight back, and he says, "That's my guy." You know. All those guys can say, I got a guy. You want to talk to my guy? He's president of the United States. So I think he gives them the leeway to say what they want. That's my take.
Ireland Contracting. You have something in Pittsburgh. You need an electrician. Who do you call?
Ireland Contracting.
Ireland Contracting. Some window companies are making the rounds, right? Window World. Call Window World. Well, if you get an estimate from one of these window folks who sends a mailer to your house, or maybe one of the reps knocks on your door, call 1-800-NEW-ROOF or go to IrelandContracting.com and get a second opinion. How about that? How about that? You're going to do siding. You're going to put on a new roof. You're going to put on some whatever, new windows. Get Ireland Contracting to give you a second opinion. I would put my money on them and see what they tell you and be like, dang, I'm so glad I listened to that fabulous woman, Wendy. I know. You're welcome. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Why wouldn't you, right? Second opinions. Always second opinions. How you doing?
Oh, the hair's up already.
Yeah, it's hot. By the end of the summer, since I'm not cutting it, I'm going to look like Cher in the 80s. Really?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with health care and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. This is hour number 2 live and on the clock, and a delight as always to spend time with you. Hey, I want to tell you, we got I believe it should be near 8.2 million podcast downloads, which is just ridiculous. If you've not gotten us onto your device, go into wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Search our name, Wendy Bell Radio, download us onto your phone, and take us with you on the go whenever you're not here to pay attention. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of my family. So the G7 summit, what's this all about? Well, the G7 is in France right now, and the other world leaders there who are supposed to be our staunchest, fiercest allies and defenders are really hoping the president does not remember how they totally boned him on the Strait of Hormuz, right? It wasn't that long ago when things were getting dicey. And Iran was sending up drones, and they were trying to set those mines in the Straits of Hormuz. And the president basically put out the bat call. And he's like, any other nation who wants to help the United States patrol the Strait so the oil flow for the rest of planet Earth goes smoothly, even though we're not the ones who rely on it, I'd love your help. And who said no? Oh, kind of all of the countries there at the G7. It's kind of a little awkward, don't you think? Meantime, as Trump is sitting there and everybody's trying to get next to him on the stage, like they're trying to elbow everybody else out of it to make it look like, look, we're best friends with the United States, who's kicking ass right now. And the whole world is going Trump's way. Even though Harry Enton wants you to believe nobody likes this president. I mean, his approval ratings are way down. Right. The Emir of Qatar, announces at the G7 yesterday a staggering $1.2 trillion in investment in the United States, one country. And then Trump sitting next to the guy, the Emir, he says the world's total investment in the United States now is going to be closer to $20 trillion when all the deals are done. Hi, Golden Age. How you doing? Literally, Trump is bringing in new investment, half of our national debt. One dude in like 1 year. Isn't that crazy? God, he would suck to be a Democrat right now. Oh, yeah? Who needs money? We don't like money, said nobody on the left. Here's Jesse Waters. He's like, look, this president is setting the terms. He's setting the tone. He's setting the timing. And he sits there and he's like, there's no deal. There's no rush to get this deal with Iran done. But there is a rush to the G7. Listen.
Every leader at the G7 flew in for one thing, Iran. They want this deal done yesterday. But Trump's not in any rush. We've already gotten everything we wanted. 90% of their missiles are destroyed. 85% of their defense plants are gone, so they can't rearm. No Navy, no Air Force, no air defense. And most importantly, no nukes, ever. Their uranium's buried. All 3 nuke sites, the caves, the tunnels, their secret chambers, collapsed. Their centrifuges shattered. Their nuclear scientists all dead. They can't enrich because they can't get down there. Only we can. And if we extract it and destroy it, they get sanctions relief. But if we don't, doesn't matter. The dust's in a grave that the Persians can't penetrate.
Has Iran said they would welcome the U.S. coming in? How specific?
Iran will be just fine. What's happening is that at an appropriate time, there's no rush at all. We have cameras from space on it. We know everybody that goes there, which is like nobody. The B-2 bombers hit it. The entire mountain collapsed inside it. It's a very tough excavation.
That is totally amazing when he says at the beginning, remember at the beginning of the show in hour number 1, we were taking his live press conference from the G7. And he said, what do you think Space Force was all about? We're keeping an eye on everybody. We've got eyes on everybody's door. Oh, my goodness. I wasn't banking on that, Mr. President, but I like hearing that we have cameras from space watching Iran, watching what they do. I wouldn't do that if I were you, babe, right? And then Jesse says, unlike this deal, unlike Obama's JCPOA disaster, it obliterates any hope the Iranians have of getting back into the uranium enrichment business 100%.
Trump's not stressed. On Friday, the Strait opens. War's over, and oil's flowing.
Ships are starting to move now. We're going to have it fully open by Friday. The ships are starting to move nicely. Oil is starting to go, and the prices are coming down rapidly. Stock market is going up rapidly. A lot of good things are happening. And most importantly, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
The Obama deal was 159 pages long. The media didn't even read it. They just called it genius. And what did it actually do? It built the runway for an Iranian nuke and paid for it. They could enrich, they could stockpile. They had missiles galore to protect their precious nuke program. Now, they don't have a nuke program. You can't enrich what you can't touch. Trump's deal, a page and a half. No room for fine print and no room for a nuke. The only way Iran gets money unfrozen is if they do what we tell them. If they make mischief, which they might, the bank closes, the blockade goes up, and it's bombs away.
There you go. That's the deal. Okay, so it's a page and a half versus Obama's 158, right? If brevity is the soul of wit, Democrats are not that bright at all. Let's talk about the G7. Who are these countries? Well, you've got Canada, you have France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the United States. Remember the NATO countries that refused to help Trump patrol the straits? Well, a bunch of them happened to be part of the G7. The UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. They said no. No help for you, Mr. President. And now they're all at this summit. And the NATO is there, European Union, rather, I should say, is there. They're also a full member of the G7. They participate in all high-level meetings. And it's very interesting to watch this very uncomfortable moment now, right? What were they doing the last time Joe Biden was at the G7, the G whatever? He was wandering off to talk to a skydiver, right? And Maloney was there trying to help him, or whomever it was trying to drag him back. And then you've got the president now, Trump, rolling in, and everybody who wants to polish his shoes. Please forgive me, for I have sinned, Father. It's very interesting to see what's going on. I'm no biblical scholar at all. In fact, I didn't become a Catholic until my oldest son, Michael, became one during his first communion in the 2nd grade. But I see a lot of this odd symbolism. Think about all the things that wouldn't have happened. If Trump had not been booted in 2020, if they hadn't cheated and installed Joe Biden as president, President Trump wouldn't be here for the 250th celebration of this great country. And so I put into one of the AI search engines, is there a biblical significance to the number 250, which is a semi-quincentennial? And it is, because 50 years in biblical terms is called a jubilee. Now, if you get 5 jubilees, which is amazing, it's the 250th. A jubilee represents a time of freedom, of restoration, and debt cancellation. You don't say. Really? Apparently, 250 years as a duration, some Christians associated with 5 jubilees, giving it spiritual significance. The Jubilee connection is the most meaningful biblical parallel to the significance of 250 years because what happens apparently is very interesting. There's supposed to be some things that happen, and they're going to happen and unfold this summer if you follow what a lot of people are paying attention to. A blowing of a horn on the 10th day of the 7th month. That's going to come up on July 10th. There's going to be this big world fair, this magnificent American fair, and something specific to happen, specified on the last day, which will be July 10th. Some things aligning, ladies and gentlemen, that are just not coincidence, but perhaps preordained destiny, like everything that we've been going through, whether you believe it or not. I can tell you the folks at the G7 are so interested in finding out what that memorandum of understanding said. In fact, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, said to Caitlin Collins something very interesting, which shows how all of these countries seem to be on the outs with this president. Listen.
Did you actually see the agreement itself?
I've seen the agreement, yes.
Oh, so the president showed it to you?
Well, I've seen the agreement. We have our sources, just like you.
Okay. Well, we haven't seen it publicly. It hasn't been released. Is it true it's about a page and a half?
It is a reasonable length for an agreement, which is in effect, it is a cessation of hostilities. It's a ceasefire for that 60-day period, as you know. But it sets out a series of conditions and what will happen when they are fulfilled. So I think it's well structured from our perspective. But I think as well is the regional countries are behind it. Of course, we met with the UAE, with the Qataris, the Egyptians. We have contacts as well. And again, it's well structured. It creates, I actually think, I think it's a game changer, not just for this situation, because it starts to take off certainly this issue, but it allows us, and this is what's happened in the meeting, to step back, look anew at Ukraine.
Yeah.
Ukraine situation. We had a very, very constructive conversation around Ukraine.
Trump is setting the agenda for a new world order. The one that Joe Biden got up and said was coming, a new liberal world order. Yeah, that's dead. It's not happening. It's being unwound, and we are returning to normal. Let me tell you a little bit better about the significance of 250. Biblically speaking, and what we're about to see this summer next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Jubilee, 250. All of these things that are going to start to happen. It's very interesting. President Trump talking about a golden age. It's spelled out kind of in the Bible. It's wild, you guys. It's wild, and I'm so not.
Something as wild as what's at the end of the show.
Yes. We have something. Yes. And that's what made me go, this morning.
Stick around for the end of the show.
Yeah.
You'll love it. If you can't, go back later and last half hour.
I agree 100%. Let me tell you, bloodflow7.com changed my life. I believe it has the ingredients, nitric oxide, to change yours. The number one reason why people go visit cardiologists like my husband, interventional cardiologists, they intervene before you have a heart attack, before you need something serious like cracking open your chest and giving you bypass. The number one thing they go to him for is because they don't have blood flow. They have the symptoms of, I just can't walk as far. I'm in pain. I'm scared. I don't have breath. I can't do anything. I'm worried. And then he goes in and does a catheterization or whatnot. He does a stress test. They can see where blockages are. And then they go in. And what do? They put in stents that open up the blood vessels. So the plaque and what have you that's blocking the flow of blood is washed away broken up and pushed away. And the stent opens up like a little metal cage inside your artery. And then that allows blood flow. Blood flow, blood flow, blood flow. That's what it's all about. Blood Flow 7 is about blood flow. And if you don't have good blood flow and you don't even know about it, right? This relaxes your blood vessels so they can expand and more blood can get through. And what do? You feel stronger. You feel more confident. You feel more focused. You feel like the cobwebs in your mind go away. Beyond that, physically speaking, holy moly. You don't have to be a world-class athlete to experience the benefit of bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's less than $1 a day, 30% off everything in their store for you, because you guys have been such buyers of it. They're like, we love your people. You're going to love their products. Bloodflow7.com. Try it. Try a bottle.
That's another thing you subscribe to.
Yes. I just got, this is yours. This is Brock's. I just got his. This is your triple XL.
Is that the powder or the pills?
These are the pills.
That's all right.
I'm telling you what, I don't buy and subscribe. So what do we subscribe to? I subscribe to this. I subscribe to Dr. Marty. He's not a sponsor anymore, but that doesn't mean that I still don't love his stuff, right? I love Genucel forever, but now I have Tulip Blooms. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Some of these products, I never splurged on skincare, like for my body. And now I'm putting essential oils and massaging oils and all of these special scents and what have you onto my skin. Yeah, why? Because it's freaking awesome. Literally, my skin feels like velvet. I would love for you to come over and be like, what is that, velvet? And I'd be like, yes, in fact, it is. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, 10% off the velour massaging oil. Whether or not somebody's going to massage it on you, you can put it on and you can say, thank you. You're going to love it. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, everything. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Spencer Pratt also goes scorched, and it's going to be great. Mark Carney, he looks like he's so desperate to be in Trump's circle, but he's not.
It's because he is.
Huh? About President Trump not being president for the 250th birthday celebration of this phenomenal country. I put into AI, I said, what is the significance of 5 50-year segments being completed, 5 jubilees, biblically speaking? What is the significance of hitting that 250-year milestone? Well, this is what it said. Every 50 years, the Jubilee year occurs after 7 cycles of 7 years. It's taken from Leviticus 25, verses 8 through 13. A year of release and universal redemption. And then there's a ram's horn that's essentially blown on the 10th day of the seventh month to start this Jubilee. So there's ostensibly going to be something that happens on July 10th that is going to be very significant. What does all of this mean? What happens during the Jubilee? So that July 10th signifies the beginning of this grand Jubilee. What happens? Well, there's freedom. All prisoners and captives are set free. This is according to the Bible. All slaves are released. They're freed from bondage. Think about that. What does that mean? Does it mean slaves as we think about it now? Or does it mean something bigger, like all of the children who are lost, all of the children who've been trafficked, all of the children and others who are virtual slaves right now? They'll be set free. Really? How about this? Debts forgiven. All debts are supposed to be canceled. Land will be returned, property returned to original owners. The land will be wrested Fields will be left fallow for 1 year, and labor ceased. Work will stop for the year. Biblically speaking, that's what this grand jubilee, the 255-year, 5 cycles of 50 years, that's what we're up against right now. This is what's coming. President Trump talking about this grand celebration, this huge celebration, this fair coming up. It's weird. A complete cycle of divine restoration, freedom, and redemption. It's like we're going to have a battle of good and evil, and good will prevail and evil will falter. And there will be a cataclysmic change. Do you believe that? I don't know. And then I wrote in, does Donald Trump, does his administration have something special planned for the 10th day of that 7th month, which would be July 10th for America's 250th? And it says, yes, the Trump administration has a major event planned that ends on July 10th, 2026 for America's 250th anniversary. The Great American State Fair. It kicks off June 25th and it wraps July 10th on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., the Great American State Fair, also called Freedom 250. Isn't it so interesting? There will be Patriot games, this whole state fair, concerts and fireworks and other UFC events, and a time capsule buried on July 4th, which will be unearthed on the 500th anniversary, 250 years from now. Interesting. It's almost like this president knows an awful lot that is coming, and he's tried to give us the drip, 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 and the left has gone crazy because they don't believe. I do. So did you guys see what Spencer Pratt dropped over the last night into today? Because we've got it for you, and I've gone long in this segment, but we're going to start with that coming up in the next segment. It's super, super interesting. It has everything to do with PG&E and the Paradise Fire of 2018 in California, which was sort of an appetizer, if you will, for what happened in the Palisades, for what happened in Lahaina. You want to connect some dots with us? Let's do it with Spencer Pratt next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So I don't know. There's a whole lot of symbolism that I'm just catching on to. There's a whole lot of symbolism with that UFC fight. And I think it's very interesting. And Leah Prida is the one who connected me to these dots. I think they're very interesting. I think they're worthy of talking about. I love this idea of, you know what's wild? You have a very large chunk of this country, Democrats. About 1 in 4 Democrats are atheist. They don't believe. It's like when you don't believe in God, in the Father, in this thing called, I don't know, the grand conscience, I think. You're not led by a moral code. There's not this overarching feeling that somebody is watching you and expects better from you. There's not this conscience kind of breathing down your neck saying, do you really want to do that? If you don't believe that you have a test to pass in order to gain entry in heaven, because you don't believe in heaven, you don't believe in anything other than the right here, right now, there are no consequences for your behavior. When you carve the Father out of the home, you see what happens. When you carve the Father, God, out of your life and you just say you don't believe, things can get dark in a hurry. Then you act with impunity. You don't believe in consequences. I don't know. It's a slippery slope. There's a huge chunk of people who do not believe. My sister's one of them. She came home from college and just became a full-out atheist. And I was like, we were raised by the same parents. We weren't extraordinarily religious, but we were both confirmed. We were both baptized. And then somewhere at the University of Pennsylvania, somebody got in your head that there's no God. that you shouldn't have faith, that it's misplaced, that's folly. Don't believe in that. It's wild. But it allows, if you don't think that God is there, it allows you to believe a lot of dark things. That it's okay to kill somebody you disagree with. What? What happened to you?
It allows you to believe the entire Democrat policy.
100%. 100%.
Trans kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're down with abortion.
But all of this is diametrically opposed to this grand jubilee thing that's coming up that we're gearing up for. Like, blah,
I'll jubilee with the best of them.
100%. I'll be your jubilee girl. Love it. All right, let me tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. That's how it goes, right? I mean, that's easy. 412-366-3700. Diagnosing a traumatic brain injury isn't a matter of going to the hospital and getting an X-ray or MRI of your brain because it doesn't show up. It's not something you can detect because the damage goes all the way down to the cellular level of your brain. So how do you know that you're wacko, right? You've been bonked. You're not right. You need to go to an expert who uses their hands to feel things. They can feel damage that has happened to you. He can feel just by touching your scalp, just by finding soft spots that you don't even know about until he touches it. And you're like, ow. And he's like, yes, I can feel it. And you're like, what is this? Some kind of hocus pocus witchcraft? And then he starts touching your soft palate, moving things around in your mouth. And you're like, holy cow. And then you hear from people who walk out of their first treatment and it's been 2 hours and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel 100% different. Is it possible? Yeah, because it happens every single day at the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Call. You have nothing to lose. 412-366-3700. Call. That's the first step. That's the step. The first step towards hope right there. Call. I don't know, Brock. I'm, and a lot of people out there speak in these terms. Like, let me pull this up. I don't know how much time I have.
You got 2 minutes.
Let me see. Home.
I believe it all.
I do too.
I believe I'm not the go to church guy, but I believe it all. I believe there is divine intervention on certain things. I believe you find out why things happen, not on your time, but on the time that you're supposed to figure it out, and it's shown to you in different ways. Like I said, I don't want to harp on it, but the end of the show, when Wendy didn't know about it, so maybe a lot of you guys didn't know about it either. I did right away because I had seen it before. But
I'm going to read it to you in the next break because I don't have time right now. But it said UFC Freedom 250, the people's consent to the new American order. Do you remember Joe Biden? There's going to be a new liberal world order. And we're like, the hell there is. UFC Freedom 250 is a major event taking place on the White House South Lawn. At first glance, a cage fight in the White House might seem like an odd addition to America's 250th anniversary celebrations, but in reality, it's a profound public ceremony that provides the legal mechanism for the full implementation of the new American order, the restoration of national sovereignty under the law of the land and God's jurisdiction. To lawfully complete the shift under the law of the land, the sovereigns of that land, the American people, must give their explicit consent. That is the purpose of UFC Freedom 250. Far more than a sporting event, it serves as the public ceremony required under Admiralty law rules, the people's visible endorsement of the transition into America's new order.
all right, let's all watch Wendy dance.
What? What exactly is that? liberals, they don't do that. They don't have fun. It's sort of like you've got a tail, you got a choice in this country. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. And the choice is hope, and it's peace, and it's respect, and it's working together, and it's having fun and having your own thoughts and saying what you want and believing what you want to believe. And then there's this other side that demands fealty and anger, and you can't believe in God, and you can't have hope for anything. You've got to be angry all the time, and you've got to just give in to that. It's your blood. Hatred becomes the blood that pulses through your body, and then all of a sudden you're an angry and ugly person. Like, look at the transformation. There's somebody in your life and you're like, yo, what happened to them? Is it meth? And then you're like, oh no, they just became more liberal. Ugh. Spencer Pratt dropped a banger video over the night and evening hours. Or Brock just found it this morning and we had missed it yesterday, but it's great. It's a reason. There's a reason why he does this. We're going to call it California burning because he absolutely torches Gavin Newsom's quote unquote leadership over the 2018 Camp Fire that destroyed the community of Paradise, California. And this was horrible. 85 people died. I mean, it was just awful. And PG&E, the utility, Pacific Gas and Electric, was found guilty of starting it. Yes, there was brush that wasn't intended to. There's forestry problems like out the wazoo in California. I don't see anybody fixing it. How many crematorium-style infernos do you need? And then it's helped by unmaintained power lines sparking and other things happening, yes. And then you've got a big inferno. You've got 85 people dead. And PG&E was found guilty of it. But something weird happened. Gavin Newsom became governor, and you know who didn't have to pay anything? That's right, PG&E. Isn't that weird? Spencer Pratt thinks so. Let's listen.
7 years ago today, 2 days after Gavin Newsom was elected governor of California, one of Gavin Newsom's biggest donors killed 85 people by sparking the Camp Fire on state-managed land because PG&E had faulty equipment they hadn't addressed in 99 years. They destroyed Paradise, burning down nearly 20,000 structures, and PG&E were found liable for 85 counts of murder, forced to pay a massive settlement. But what did they do? They paid Gavin Newsom $208,000 and he bailed them out. To this day, 7 years later, many of PG&E's victims have still not received their full settlement payments. 7 years later, 75% of Paradise is just burnt out empty lots. Now you know why I keep saying the Palisades won't be rebuilt in my lifetime. Gavin Newsom's friends literally destroyed Paradise, and to this day, only a fraction of it has been rebuilt. What a horrific showcase of Gavin Newsom's impotence and corruption, doing the bidding of corporate lobbyists, abandoning fire victims, allowing California towns to rot after fires burn through the neglected, overgrown state forest. Oh, and remember his infamous French Laundry dinner during the COVID lockdowns? Guess who was hosting the swanky dinner? A PG&E lobbyist. Since that fire, have we learned anything? Has anything changed? Newsom is still neglecting all the dead brush. Communities like mine are still getting destroyed by fires on state land, and dozens of people are dying. What happens after the fire? We get ignored, neglected, and pushed out by his wealthy buddies to replace our families with high-density housing. It's a sad day and a horrific legacy for Gavin Newsom.
100%. PG&E. 85 people died. Where's the money? Well, about that. You know, if you give a nice sizable maximum donation to my coffers, this campaign cash is a real toxic source of corruption. Do you guys remember the name Dana Williamson? She was Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff and a former political consultant to Javier Becerra, the guy we're told California Democrats really want to be their next governor. Well, it was just a few weeks ago when this Dana Williamson lady pled guilty to stealing campaign cash from Xavier Becerra's old attorney general campaign account that had stayed open after he left that office to become Biden's failed HHS secretary and go on to lose 450,000 of the world's children, who we hope, if the Jubilee biblical stuff is true, will be released from their slavery and servitude soon. That's no joke. That's real. I want to read you a little bit about this Dana Williamson, because she is going to be sentenced here in a couple weeks. Former political consultant for Democratic frontrunner for Governor Xavier Becerra, Javier, whatever the hell, and ex-aide Governor Gavin Newsom. I'm not saying Gavin Newsom or Becerra did anything wrong, but I'm going to say the conditions are sure ripe for many, many ways to siphon money out of funds that aren't being paid attention to. What do you need? You need a cause? Well, I'm going to run for election. I'm going to run for re-election. I need to have constant money coming into my coffers because that money is used, yes, for me to get re-elected or to get elected, but it sure does grease a lot of skids. Dana Williamson charged in a corruption scandal that shocked Sacramento. Did it really? Following an investigation that included FBI wiretaps and seized communications, prosecutors accused Williamson of conspiring with Becerra's longtime chief of staff, Sean McCluskey, and other Sacramento lobbyists to divert $225,000 from Becerra's dormant state campaign account into McCluskey's hand. As part of the plea deal, Williamson, McCluskey, and the other lobbyist agreed to pay back the $225,000 in restitution to Becerra. Williamson agreed to pay $500,000 in restitution to the IRS. Prosecutors say they've gotten some kind of a plea deal. There were 23 counts. She argued it down to just 3 for a plea deal that she'll probably get 3 years for. What do you think she agreed to talk about? What do you think she agreed to tell the DOJ? Because you know what? This siphoning campaign money seems to be a common theme in California. In fact, Rob Bonta, remember how we've spoken about him and the dongs? He is the California Attorney General right now, who Gavin Newsom cherry-picked to fill Becerra's role as Attorney General of the state when Becerra failed upwards into the Biden administration. Well, Rob Bonta is accused of dipping into about $500,000 in his campaign cash to pay for quote unquote legal services that supposedly were to quote help California's law enforcement partners pursue justice in a federal bribery case. Bribery, blackmail, campaign funds, dipping into that. It's so interesting. That's a huge pit for money, apparently. Now, Bonta was dreaming of becoming governor of California himself, but all of the heat with him hobnobbing with these waste disposal guys, the dongs, and all sorts of contracts and money donated and dipping into campaign funds. Yeah, there was a little too much heat on Rob Bonta, so he kind of slithered back into his job as the Attorney General, taking credit for Nick Shirley's work and cracking down on hospice fraud in the state, right? There's so many ways to be dirty, so many ways to get money. And none of it involves actually working for us, we the people. Never ever doing anything that makes our lives better. What do? They steal more money from you, raise your taxes, go after your kids, burn down your house, pretend to build stuff that's roads and bridges to nowhere, high-speed rail of suck. Invite a bunch of people who don't belong here, make you get shots or you can't go to school and can't go to, work, and then give all of your money as freebies to the newcomers, the illegals that they need to do what you're not willing to do anymore, and that's to vote Democrat. Correct me when I'm wrong. Now, it was interesting. I wasn't expecting this today, not on my card. CNN actually punching back at Gavin Newsom. I'm not so sure they're after Gavin Newsom. Feels to me like they're going after his wife, because he used his wife to get rich. What? CNN punching back at Gavin's claim that Trump is investigating him because he's running for president. Listen.
Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the wife of California's governor and potential 2028 presidential contender, Gavin Newsom, is currently under federal investigation for possible tax crimes. The full scope of the investigation into the first partner is unclear. The documentary filmmaker founded Representation Project, a nonprofit focused on gender equity in media.
I love championing and focusing on uplifting and supporting women and girls.
She also owns a film production company called Girls Club Entertainment, which is listed as a contractor on the Representation Project's tax returns. And she co-founded the California Partners Project, a nonprofit that works to get more women onto corporate boards, address the gender pay gap, and make tech safer for children. Critics have raised the possibility of self-dealing for years, despite no public evidence of wrongdoing. While it is unclear what exactly investigators are focused on, they have recently interviewed potential witnesses, including people close to the first couple. Sources tell CNN that the governor is not directly under investigation, but he has framed the probe as politically motivated and targeting him.
Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president.
The tax probe is not the only recent investigation into someone in Newsom's orbit. His former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, was recently prosecuted related to corruption. She pleaded guilty to 3 charges earlier this year. President Trump has made it clear he wants his Justice Department to pursue his political enemies. Just last year, he called for Newsom to be arrested and has attacked him repeatedly.
He's ruined California. He gives health care to anybody.
CNN has learned the current investigation was launched last year by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Sacramento based on a whistleblower report. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche declined to answer questions Monday on Capitol Hill.
General Blanche, can you confirm if this Justice Department is investigating Gavin Newsom and if the president directed you to do this?
Interesting that you are the company you keep. And Gavin Newsom might not be fingered in this probe, but his company smells bad. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the math ain't mathin'. Speaking of Jennifer Newsom, California's first partner is being investigated maybe because her family's lavish expenses don't really add up on their tax forms. Let's dig into those next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I don't know, guys. It doesn't make sense to me. GLP-1 Gold does make sense. You want to lose weight. You need help losing weight. You don't have the money for the shots. The shots make you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be a pincushion for the rest of your life. You don't want to be a big pharma prescription pad. So you're like, I don't know where else to go. What do I do? Well, what you do is you address the issue that the GLP shots that don't have any GLP hormone in them, interestingly, what they do is they basically reconnect. It's sort of like rebooting your router, right? Your router's not connecting. You're not getting your devices onto the internet. We're gonna do a hard reboot. All right, we're gonna shut everything down and we're gonna reboot. Well, this is your lifeline back onto the internet. This is GLP-1 Gold. It actually gets the hormone in your brain firing to your gut, to your belly, so that when you're getting full, your brain says, "Woo, I don't need to eat anymore," and then you're just like tapped out. Right? If that's not working, you can keep eating and eating and eating, and you don't feel that you're overdoing it. And then you get fatty bobalatti. This Juvenon, GLP-1 Gold, I should say. Juvenon.com, or rather, bloodflow7.com/Wendy, 30% off. This is $1 a day versus whatever it costs for the shot. It's safe, it's effective, and this is a monster weight loss helper. If you've got 50, 60, 80 pounds to lose, this is your secret sauce. GLP-1 Gold, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I trust them. I'm not on it. I can tell you out of the gates, I'm not on it. I don't have need for it. But if I did,
works like blood flow.
I'll have it. I'll take it. So the next, let's see. It's the 1-year process of restoring American sovereignty. So on July 10th, a horn, if you're thinking about the Bible, when you're talking about the Jubilee, sports is supposed to sound, that marks a year of great restoration. So the 1-year process of restoring American sovereignty, according to this site or this particular poster, the Truth Harmonist, the following shows the steps that have already been taken in the dismantling of admiralty law. That's what they say. No, admiralty law. Admiralty law. I'm completely saying it wrong. America recapturing its flag, June 14th, 2025. Flag Day celebrates the adoption of the American flag on June 14th, 1777. It's the true symbol of land, jurisdiction, and national sovereignty. It was on this day in 2025 that America initiated the legal process of removing itself from British Admiralty jurisdiction in order to restore its sovereignty and the law of the land. And then it goes through all of these things that happen. Like, it's crazy. I shared it on my X account, Wendy Bell PGH on X. I mean, and then it goes into the transition touches every area of life, spiritual, legal, economic. And there's supposed to be this year where we cleanse, where we basically get rid of the evil. And all of the bad actors are basically whisked away. Bye-bye. You're gone. I mean, Gitmo, Alligator, Alcatraz, all of these things that they've been making for illegals. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's kind of weird. What do you guys think? Am I smoking some crack over here? I don't know.
No, during the show.
No. Gavin Newsom says he's the one who's under investigation by the DOJ, but sources say it's actually related to his wife's taxes. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, one of the common things that the Democrats like to do, and to Adam Carolla's point, I don't really see a lot of this on the right. I don't know a lot of Republicans that are doing this. Do they exist? Probably. I don't know of them. The spreading out of wealth of big sums into littler pockets to avoid detection or alarms, right? Suspicious activity alerts from the bank. What did the Biden crime family syndicate do? Well, they needed to get $30 million in from all these other countries. So they had to divvy up the chunks into little smaller chunks. We're going to give some to the granddaughters. We're going to give some to so-and-so. There were 9 Biden crime family syndicate members who were vastly enriched. That was the deal. Well, when you look at Gavin Newsom and his wife, they're working in concert to game the system, but sadly it's under her name. California Governor Gavin Newsom, this is redstate.com, great report by Jen Van Laar. California Governor Gavin Newsom made the world's craziest possible presidential campaign announcement Monday when he dropped a 5-minute video saying he's under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice, claiming that the investigation is politically motivated because he's considering running for president. Now, Newsom doesn't say exactly what the investigation is allegedly about, but he says that it's directed at his wife and references a grand jury. He says he's joined Tim Walz and Adam Schiff, James Comey, and Jerome Powell on President Donald Trump's hit list, and defiantly says, Donald Trump picked the wrong target. We have nothing to hide, which is good. So there are multiple investigations apparently ongoing, and they started in California, not Washington, D.C., stemming from whistleblower complaints. And they have to do with Jennifer Seibel Newsom's taxes and with Newsom's former chief of staff, Dana Williamson. It's almost like we've been talking about it for a reason. According to multiple years of tax returns reviewed by Red State, Gavin and Jennifer Newsom filed taxes jointly. So if the investigation has to do with taxes, it has to do with both of them. The Newsom's full tax returns from 2017 to 2020 are available, and Red State has exclusively reported on them in some kind of shady real estate deals from Sacramento to Marin County. Back in 2020, they reported on the questionable transactions surrounding the acquisition and refinancing of the Newsom's $3.7 million estate in Fair Oaks, California. So somebody paid $3.7 million cash through an LLC for a 12,663 square foot, 8-acre estate in December 2018 that was then transferred or gifted to Gavin Newsom and his wife shortly before the first couple obtained a $2.7 million cash out mortgage loan on the property. A year after originally breaking that story, they still don't know who that somebody is who gifted it and whether the transaction was legal or not. Newsom's spokesperson has given a bunch of different answers why that happened. Well, since Newsom said the investigation was specifically directed at his wife, it could have to do with the purchase of a $9.1 million home in Marin County through an LLC controlled by Jennifer Newsom, which is wild because the grant deed from a company controlled by a longtime Democrat donor to Cybel Newsom's LLC is dated November 6th of 2024, but her LLC wasn't formed until November 12th. There's no indication of any mortgage on the property until February of 2025, when the LLC obtained a $6.5 million mortgage at 6.75% interest. That means that the mortgage on this $9.1 million secondary house is over $42,000 a month, with an annual property tax bill of $118,000. Now, you might say, wow, they're loaded, but here's the deal. Jen and Gavin made $1.4 million last year. They paid $450,000 in federal and state taxes. They paid $200,000 to domestic workers, $150,000 in private school tuition, $200,000 in property taxes, $20,000 at least in utilities. There's nothing left. And they have 4 kids. So where's the food, the clothing, the entertainment, the sports? How about the cars? What about their insurance? How about their trips? Where's the money coming from? Maybe that's why Jennifer Newsom is being investigated. The Newsoms still carry a $2.7 million mortgage on their original home. And the payments for that mortgage alone are over $13,000 a month. Then you have the secondary home, and now that's $42,000 a month. You're paying over $50,000 a month just in your mortgage payments on $1.5 million in annual income. I'm sorry, you guys, it doesn't add up. They're getting rich somewhere else, baby. And the feds want to know where. Bad Donald Trump. When we go back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, New York is corrupt too. I know, shocker. I've got proof. Next. Right? So let's just take it. Let's say you make $100,000 a year. You're not buying a house that's $1 million because you can't pay the mortgage on that.
You're not buying a house that's $500,000.
You're not buying a house that's $500,000, right? And then you create these companies that supposedly do stuff and make money, but what's the stuff that you're doing and who's making the money for you? Whose name? I don't know. They don't know. How's that possible? So can you imagine the optics? Gavin Newsom running for president as his wife's in prison. I'm not thinking that the Democrats want Newsom to be the guy, right? This is why it's blackmail and bribery. See, this is the firm, right? Yeah. We're going to bring you in, Tom Cruise, you and your young wife, you a hot stud, and we're going to put cameras on places that you don't know about. We're going to record everything that you do, and we're going to get dirt on you, and then we're going to get a honeypot, and she's going to kind of lure you, and maybe you fall for it, and maybe you don't, but we're going to have some video. We're having some pictures taken of you, and you're going to be up there with a hooker at the bar, and you're going to be, what's that? And then we're going to make your whole life unravel. Or you can just do what we say and become part of the cabal with us. And if you're somebody like Madison Cawthorn, and you're like, yeah, I'm not so down with that. Well, we'll bounce you and ruin your life. Interesting. TheHealthyFat.com, for a cardiothoracic surgeon to chuck his heart transplantation business. This guy, Dr. Gundry, was the head of a hospital system. He was like the muckety of all mucks. And then he lost 70 pounds because he started drinking a powder that he researched and created. He's like, I think I'm going to make myself the guinea pig of this. He did all of this white paper research on stuff. And he was like, I think I've cracked the code about why a lot of people, even though they eat the right stuff and are exercising, plateau on the scale, can't move the needle. It's so frustrating. I'm not eating burgers and drinking beer every night. I'm eating celery, for God's sakes. Why am I not Ethiopian? And he found like the secret. And this mix, MCT Wellness, is the switch that you can flip that allows your body to dump all these extra calories that you're lugging around with you, unbeknownst to you. And so Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds drinking this. And he's like, honey, I think I'm onto something. And he quit his job and they went into marketing this and he almost failed. He almost crashed and burned. They maxed out their credit cards. They overloaded his mortgage. He did everything. The guy was a cardiothoracic surgeon and he hit the skids, and his wife started marketing this and it went gangbusters. MCT Wellness, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Why does it work? Why does it work if you have a lot of weight to lose? Why is it so easy to put in a scoop of the water that you're already drinking? It kills your appetite, but it also does something inside of you, which helps move the needle on the scale. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy.
So if you're making, would you say he's basically $1 million a year?
1.4 they have jointly.
So if you're making 100,000, let's go smaller numbers so we can do the math. You're probably affording a $250,000 home. You're probably paying about $1,400 a month. Let's say $1,500 a month. So X that by 10, right? Let's say he's making $1 million. So it means he can probably afford a $10,000 a month.
So how about this? 1.4 million yearly income, 450,000 federal state taxes, 200,000 domestic workers, 150,000 private school tuition, 200,000 property taxes, 20K in utilities
a month.
That is $1 million of the 1.4 million gone. Okay. So they have 400,000 left. Now add in a roughly $120,000 a year in mortgage payments just for the Sacramento house, $506,000 a year in mortgage payments for the new house, which his in-laws had to guarantee. That now you're overdrawn on your annual income. And that's before you have any food, clothes, entertainment, or sports for 4 kids. Their financial disclosures don't show any large sales of assets. And Gavin can't sell any assets out of his blind trust anyway, because that's where the bulk of his assets are. If the trustee sells the assets, the proceeds have to remain in the trust while he's in office. Where's the effing money coming from? PG&E? To not pay 85 wrongful death suits? To not pay for 20,000 burned out structures? Because PG&E is still operating today.
Oh yeah, big time.
I wonder if they know anybody in Lahaina.
The math ain't math.
Is California's PG&E connected at all to the utility electrical company on Maui? I remember, Brock, when I wrote this for Newsmax and they shut it down? I'm going to have to find it because it was freaking brilliant. Maui Electric Company. Hitachi was the common thread to me. I remember that. The 15-minute cities, all of that stuff.
Blue roofs.
Hitachi was connected to these.
So were the people in charge. They were connected in different ways.
Stop it. I'm becoming a conspiracy truther.
You're there. Welcome to the club.
So ridiculous. It feels comfortable, though.
It is.
It feels welcoming and comforting.
It's warm.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death. Can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio Program, hour number 3. You know, I'm going to dip back into hour number 2 when we played that Adam Carolla sound. And it was great because what he says is, don't do this. Both sides is a mumbo jumbo when you're talking about the political parties, because both sides are not ruining the greatest cities in America. Both sides have not destroyed San Francisco. The Democrats have. Republicans didn't destroy Los Angeles. They're trying to freaking save it. Democrats are destroying it. Look at all of your big cities. New York City. Do you see a lot of Republicans there wielding a lot of influence? No. Every single sanctuary city and state run by Democrats is being run into the ground. This isn't shared culpability at all. This is why it's very easy for somebody like Spencer Pratt to get up and speak common sense in such a crazy area in Los Angeles. Democrats have legitimately, literally and figuratively, burned the place down. In New York City. I mean, come on. How about this headline, New York Post? And I wish this wasn't happening. I don't take great joy in this, but once you begin to see that everything's a grift and everybody lies to you, and the lion's share of them are Democrats, this isn't such a stretch anymore. Headline: Fed sue Hochul officials, claim massive fraud scheme in revamp of New York's $11 billion Medicaid home care program. So Kathy Hochul's inner circle. What are you doing? Well, they're looking at a victim. You always need a victim, whether it's transgender kids, Black people, women, right? Or people on Medicaid who require home care services. Got to grift off of them. And that's exactly what this suit or what this fraud scheme is all about. The Fed sued Kathy Hochul, Governor Kathy Hochul's administration Tuesday. Like, we're suing you. You're corrupt. Claiming officials rigged a bid on an $11 billion Medicaid home care program, allowing a hand-picked company to siphon millions of dollars in taxpayer money, right? Can you imagine, literally, if every single American had a nickel taken out of their bank account every day? Would you know it? Would that $1.50, even a penny, would you notice 30 cents missing from your ledger? No. Would you miss it over a year when that grew into what, $3? No. But if you multiply that by every man, woman, and child, that's a crap ton of money. That's what the Democrats have been doing. Stealing just a little bit from something that's monstrous, that's bloated, that's cumbersome, that doesn't work effectively, that doesn't have guardrails, that nobody's paying attention to. That thing, I'm sure it's being run fine. The suit from President Trump's Department of Justice lays out startling new claims supporting allegations that top state health officials, shocker, schemed to consolidate payroll services for nearly 250,000 home care recipients. Well, then you have to ask yourself, are there really 250,000 people in the state getting home care services? That's something to look into, right? That's just me asking for a friend. Public Partnerships LLC was brought in to replace middlemen in the consumer-directed personal assistance program in a move a state claimed would save costs in 2024, but actually led to a disastrous transition. New York's failure to police a favored vendor, so basically a no-bid contract. Isn't that what they just bitched at Trump for doing with the reflecting pool, the Lincoln Monument, right? Lincoln Memorial. Damn him. He didn't go with the contractor we picked that said they could do it in 4 years for $400 million. He didn't get competing offers. He just went with this other guy who he knows. Some guy probably named Vinny who did it for less, faster. Now they're saying there's algae in it. Oh, no. You know what happens normally with water? They'll figure it out. New York's failure to police a favored vendor that unlawfully siphoned millions of dollars of Medicaid funding is egregious and betrays the public trust. No, that's standard operating procedure for the Democrat Party. That's what it is. You're now desensitized. You're like, how much? 11 billion? They siphoned some money off of that? Yeah, sounds right. Why is it that our national debt is $40 trillion? Like, I have no idea. The Justice Department is acting to ensure that federal laws regarding truthful statements and fair dealing in federal healthcare programs are upheld, and to prevent additional harm from being exacted against the public by New York. The state ignored warning signs that the transition would be chaos. So basically they brought in somebody. They're like, look, I can bill for this so much easier than your people. Sheila, get me my Sharpie. We're going to sit down. We could do this real fast. All right, here's how it works, right? And then they're like, I love this. This is fabulous. And so they ditched the people that had been doing it, bring in this new outfit, and then lo and behold, what? A little bit from everybody's account gets siphoned out, a little bit gets taken away, and then all of a sudden you have a reservoir of money, and you're like, that should help us now that Act Blue isn't operating as well as it should. Now that USAID is over with, now that they know our smurfing strategy. The suit names State Health Commissioner James McDonald and Medicaid Director Amir Basiri, but a 60-page complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York doesn't directly accuse Hochul of any wrongdoing. It's sort of like Becerra's people, but not necessarily him. It was his campaign cash that they were siphoning. He's connected to it, but not his fingerprints aren't like right there. Oh, Gavin Newsom, he's being, it's his wife and all this other stuff is going on, but he's not directly named in it. Oh, it's not Hochul, but she's probably aware of it because all these other people in her orbit. You guys see this? Of course you do. So this makes you feel like these people, these Democrats, nobody gets convicted. Nobody pays the price. There's no penalty. There's no change. It'll just keep happening, right? Well, Deepfake Quotes Anonymous has a little video for us today. And he's like, look, if it seems to you that corrupt politicians are always getting away with it, sometimes justice does prevail. And then it's interesting. He links us back to Gavin Newsom. Gavin's getting a lot of play today. Listen.
Some breaking news now. Governor Gavin Newsom says he and his wife are now being investigated by the Justice Department. The governor posted this video to social media just a short time ago and characterized the probe as President Trump trying to punish a political rival.
The cynical often say politicians always get away with it, that no matter how serious the allegations, no matter how much evidence exists, nothing ever happens. That's not exactly true. George Ryan, Republican, convicted on federal corruption charges, sent to prison. Shaka Fatah, Democrat, convicted on corruption and fraud charges, sent to prison. Larry Householder, Republican, convicted in a major public corruption case. Kwame Kilpatrick, Democrat, convicted on federal corruption charges, sent to prison. Glenn Casada, Republican, convicted on corruption-related charges. Ray Nagin, Democrat, convicted on corruption charges, sent to prison. Dana Williamson, Democrat, and Chief of Staff to Governor Gavin Newsom, indicted on federal charges involving campaign funds, pleaded guilty. And those are only a few of the examples. The point is not the party. The point is that politicians do not always get away with it. Sometimes investigations happen. Sometimes indictments follow. Sometimes convictions follow. And sometimes prison follows. Yes, there are cases where it appears powerful people escape accountability. Sometimes it feels like they get away with it. Sometimes they even act as though they are untouchable. But history shows that is not always the ending. Sometimes justice prevails. My friends, we are all anonymous.
So what's super interesting about that is the third reference now, aside from my own, about this Dana Williamson cat who worked closely with Becerra as a political strategist and then as part of Gavin Newsom's administrative team. Isn't that interesting? You know, I used to pay attention to the quote unquote news kind of in a vacuum. But when you start going up above the clouds and you look down and you see the stories that are taking shape, certain things seem just so purposeful, so meaningful, so planned, don't they? When we come back, you know, these are dangerous times for Democrats who hope their clone troopers wage a rebellion. The FBI revealing new details about the UFC terror plot in a new affidavit. I'm going to read it to you next on the Wendy Bell, scary Wendy Bell Radio Network. I have to update that too, because as I was saying when we were walking in today, it's like, pew, things are changing. So Hochul's, every sanctuary city is going to have issues because that's the way it has to be.
If they took a penny each day from 320 million Americans, that's $3.2 million a day. $1.15 billion a year for a penny.
They could almost make up with Kamala Blue in that awful.
Just think
but
about
she's
that,
making
though.
the rounds again. Who do they have, Brock? Who do they have?
Nobody.
It's not going to be Newsom. They're going to put a fork in that cat. They're going to put a fork in him. Like, now's the time. They've got to be out, right? Let's see. UFC. You know what we haven't been talking about? UFOs and aliens. You're welcome. UFC terror plot.
One penny, $1.15 billion a year. And you would never know. How many of us have $5 subscriptions a month that we don't even think about? And the fees that we pay on
death
phones.
It's death by that small amount.
When you talk about the slaves, when you were talking about that's you and I. We're slaves to our government through taxes. We're slaves.
So again, there's been that
slaves to the bank.
That Scott said all of the money that you've paid is going to come back to you, and therefore everybody is going to be extraordinarily wealthy.
Where money doesn't make a difference.
Money's not going to really make a difference. It's not going to be your motivator. Instead of going out to make more, you're going to be going out to make life better.
Right.
So
everybody can have a job,
for instance,
that they want to do because they love what they do.
Right.
And isn't that the goal of everyone?
Should be.
I mean, how many people get up and say, I get to go to work today?
Right.
Not a lot of us.
Health revolution Info.healthrevolution.net. Info.healthrevolution.net. It's not a scam. It's not some shtick. We're not pulling a fast one on you if you're tired of paying too much for your health insurance and you're paying for coverage that you don't need, but you got squeezed into because that's the plan that fits you best. Why don't you get to create your own plan? We're the ones paying for it. What the hell are we paying for? Right? Why are we paying outrageous copays? Why are the deductibles so high? Why is the premium so high? How about no copays? How about you get to see whatever doctor you want? How about you save between 30 and 60% on your premium? How about that? Does that sound reasonable to you? Sounds great to me. Great to me. If you're on COBRA, you're self-employed, if you are off of your parents' insurance now, if you signed up for the marketplace, the Unaffordable Care Act marketplace, that's all changing. If you're a gig worker, right, and your employer is you, or you don't, right, you don't make health insurance. You need coverage. You need a plan. How about this plan? Info.healthrevolution.net, 800-868-6187. 800-868-6187. Cost you nothing to call. Go fill out the intake form. Prepare for somebody to call you, and then prepare to save. No copays.
I don't know. Someone said they don't trust my math. 0.01, which would be a penny, times 320 million is 3.2 million a day. Times that by 365. Maybe I did the math wrong. I don't know.
Radio program. You know, they tried to turn extreme MAGA Republicans into some far-right, fringe, wacky sector of the Republican Party. That doesn't exist. I reject the notion that there is some contingent of white supremacists out there and that they're conservative and they're all about our party. I've never met them. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who the KKK are. I've never met a supremacist. I've never met somebody who extremely, in some nefarious, injurious way, represents the GOP. Now, you've got the socialist, Marxist, communist, wacko, progressive wing of the Democrat Party that's taken the party, like that poor bungee cord gal who they threw off and they didn't have the thing on. You heard about that? Terrible. I can't even go there. That fringe part of the party that thinks it's sexy to be Luigi Mangione, who puts a bullet in the back of a healthcare CEO in broad daylight, who thinks it's totally reasonable to try to gun down an ICE officer. Stay away from our immigrants, right? Who thinks it's totally reasonable. Alex Preddy to have a gun loaded on you, to shoot at the president of the United States, to throw your belly fat LaMonica McIver right in the way of an ICE aid. You've created wacko fringe weirdness, Democrats. You allowed it to happen. They hijacked your party. And I don't think you guys have the police force and the guts to take them down. FBI disrupts alleged explosive drone plot targeting the White House UFC event. Signal chats allegedly revealed 23 people discussing pre-operational activity. The FBI and its law enforcement partners disrupted an alleged plot targeting last weekend's UFC Freedom 250 event in D.C. 5 people taken into custody as of Monday. It's higher than that now. Investigators identified 23 people as part of a potential network of plotters. This is so scary, though. This is the world in which we live. You don't like the party in power? Well, go fly a bunch of drones loaded with explosives over that cage fight and let it go off and kill a bunch of people. And then when there's madness and mayhem and people try to leave and scream, have snipers nearby to gun them down. That's the plan. That was the plan. The FBI first learned of the threat June 10th, worked with partners to secure probable cause for an arrest in Cincinnati. So in Ohio, one dude, 19-year-old Tyson Proper, taken into custody. According to a criminal complaint, he allegedly spent $3,000 of his, quote, graduation money to purchase lots of ammunition, guns, extra mags, and other items for the alleged attack. Thank God his mom, who was like, say, what? Something's going on here. I'm paying attention. Authorities estimated that several boxes of ammo that Proper had allegedly acquired contained thousands of rounds. It's also alleged that Proper acquired an AR-style rifle, a bullpup rifle painted with the American flag, 2 plate carriers with AR-style magazines. His family voluntarily turned over the equipment to law enforcement. His father telling officers that his son had quit his job to meet up with people he had met online to conduct missions and recons, according to the complaint. It said that Proper's mother had first alerted authorities over concerns about his recent alleged firearm purchases and communications with individuals online. Yeah, he's dealing with some stuff. We don't know what it is. Thomas Crooks, though, he was great. Nothing wrong with him. He was perfect. He made multiple trips to Washington, D.C. He was really close to the FBI office there, right? So weird. What happened with that guy as they hosed off all of the evidence, right? And burned his body. I'm sure it was nothing. Daniel Eskridge of Kansas City, Missouri. Abraham Alvarez of Omaha, Nebraska, also arrested. Court documents say Eskridge's wife told investigators he described himself as a recruiter for this group and had amassed tactical gear, including a rifle, ammo, and other equipment in recent months. She also said he built a firearms range on his property about 3 weeks before his arrest, and that she was aware of his signal communications through messages that appeared on a shared tablet. Thank God. Thank God for the wife. Thank God for the mom. Alvarez apparently operated under the online moniker Shepherd and served as a key organizer of the plot, using a signal chat to direct staging locations, sniper and drone positions, escape routes, and communication protocols, according to court documents. Does that seem like somebody who's stable? No. But did you guys see the headline today? There's like some ridiculous majority of Harvard students right now say they've experienced at least one mental health crisis in the last year. Like, what are we creating? What is the left creating? See, this isn't about we. This doesn't happen in conservative land, at least not that I know of. What's going on? Well, God, the left needs a Hail Mary. They need a smokescreen. They need an intervention. They need the clone troopers to do something. We need a 9/11. We need a J6. We need a Trump assassination attempt or worse. We're desperate. And these people took the bait. They received the call. They answered it. That's not both sidesism, guys. That's one side. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we want our rainbow back. MLB stepping in a rainbow sludge. Whoopsies. Next. I'm going to run to the bathroom, Brock. Are you okay?
Yep. I sent this story to Wendy this morning. I didn't know she'd go for it, but seeing the social media outrage over these players that didn't want to put Bible verses on their hat. Stop shoving crap down our throat. That's when the Pirates lost me going to games, not me watching games. I love baseball, College World Series going on right now. But when they hung the big Black Lives Matter banner at the stadium, I'm out. I come to watch baseball. Hell, I don't even like the DH. I'm a purist. But when you start shoving stuff down people's throats, they start checking out. They start saying, this isn't where I'm going to spend my money. I could buy an overpriced beer, an overpriced hot dog anywhere. Then they started with the masks at the game. You had to wear them. unless you were eating. So when I would go to a game, I would get the bottomless popcorn and I'd have my mask off. And every time someone would come by to say something, like, piece of popcorn. Yeah, just stop pushing your crap on me. Especially when you're giving me bad baseball.
I know, it's weird.
And then you're doing that.
All right. I'm going to tell you the collagen is working. I'm just going to say it. It's working. I really do believe it. And this isn't just hopeful thinking. I think I'm noticing changes in my body months into taking collagen peptides from getnativepath.com. /Wendy. I'm super geeked about it too. And though Mary Beth doesn't tell me often, I know she sees it too. She sees it too. What you begin to see if you're drinking, if you take a scoop of getnativepath.com /Wendy, up to 45% off for our family. Getnativepath.com /Wendy. You can see Native Path right here. Just throw get in front of it. When you take 10 grams, take a scoop, it dissolves instantly. It's flavorless. It doesn't smell of anything either. Dump it in your coffee, your water, your juice, your Chuck juice, your MCT Wellness, Healthy Fat, whatever you're drinking, put it in there and give it several months. Drink a whole one of these. It's going to take you several months to get through it. It's very affordable and extraordinarily important. Collagen. I used to think, like I said, of people getting collagen in their lips and puffing up their faces and whatnot. It's great for the removal of fine lines and wrinkles. It's great for your cartilage, for your bones, for your joints. It is phenomenal for your skin. It is great for your muscle mass. It is phenomenal. Hair, skin, nails, definitely 100%. I notice it. I see a difference. It is going to be part of what I do. Again, if they call me tomorrow and they're like, yeah, we really appreciate you, but it didn't seem like a lot of your people were all that excited about us. And so we're not going to advertise anymore. I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I get it. I understand. That's a bummer because I like it. I'd still get it. I would still get it. 100%. I would still get it. I'm going to give Brock a calm mood. I'm going to give you a healthy cell calm mood, by the way. I want you to try it. I want you to try it sometime. And I wonder how you will feel because healthycell.com.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Healthycell.com /Wendy. They're microgels. This is where they get the supplements to you 165% more absorbed than if you were to just pop a pill. Their formulas are phenomenal. But this, I'm going to tell you just 3 that I'm super geeked about. The REM sleep is off the grid. That's so helpful to have on the shelf in the event that you need to get some sleep and you're worried that you're not going to. Sometimes you're too tired and you can't. Then there's a focus and recall. If you have a presentation, you have a test, you have to be particularly sharp on your game. Take in a health focus and recall. Gone. The calm mood one is one. Like if you can take a Xanax off of your tongue and put in a healthy gel calm mood, first of all, it's phenomenal for your body to not take a narcotic. But this, it all of a sudden, it just makes me feel like I'm in charge. I'm in control. I'm in charge of not necessarily of my environment, but my reaction to it. You don't feel like I'm very sensitive or I feel weak. And no, you're just like, it's very empowering. I don't know how to describe that. Healthycell.com /Wendy, 20% off your first order. Calm mood. Huge. And getnativepath.com /Wendy, up to 45% off. They love you guys. And they're a great company. Thank you for getting us to 2,000 rumbles. Finally. No, we're not there yet.
No. Let's go. I'll yell and scream. I may need a calm mood if we don't get to 2Ks real soon.
Oh, my. What a bummer.
Should hold out. No Toto till 2K.
and allow me to speak for America. I know it's a bold move. I mean, I'm nobody out there in the world, but I think I could do this. We want our rainbows back. Can we have the rainbow back? Can we get it back? Because the LGBTQIA plus crowd tried to hijack it. And then they molested it and they put in some weird angles, added some black and some brown and some pink. And it looks god awful. It's an embarrassment. It's a national embarrassment. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you have pride in your gayness. Good for you. But the flag is stupid. And it's so unsightly. Okay? And the forcing it on the American people is stupid. Think about Major League Baseball. Why do we have to have Pride Night? Why did we have to have BLM banners? Why did the University of Pittsburgh gymnastics team have to put Black Lives Matter on their leotards? Why do you need to put that over the railing in right field? Why do you have to get involved in politics? Play the damn game and get out of all of these stupid social issues, okay? Because we can litigate these every single day of the week until the cows come home. It's never going to change. If this is your identity, if your number one thing is being gay, or it's being black, or it's being whatever, okay. It's not mine. My number one thing is being a mom. It supersedes being a wife, being a daughter, all of that. Being a mom, number one thing that I am. Talk show host, somewhere down at the end of the line. This is what I do. But who I am is different. I'm a mom. Did you hear about the San Francisco Giants pitchers? Pissing people off. But why? Why? Because it was shoved down their throats from Major League Baseball. Put on this hat with this stupid rainbow pride San Francisco, whatever logo. And pretend that you're down with this. Well, now, what if your beliefs contradict that? Well, there's no room for you. This party of inclusion, all are welcome here. Aren't that welcoming if you want to welcome God into the mix? What? They recoil. So I want to read this to you because it's perfectly idiotic. San Francisco Giants pitchers warned by Major League Baseball for writing Bible verses on their pride caps. Really? Starting pitcher Landon Roop walked out to the mound with a Genesis 9:12 through 16 written right next to the Giants logo on the special edition Pride hat in protest of the agenda of the LGBTQ crowd. Relief pitcher JT Brubaker also wrote Genesis 9:13-15 on his cap, and reliever Ryan Walker added a similar reference on the side of his. Reliever Sam Henges, I don't know how to pronounce his name, refused to wear the pride hat completely. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to lie. You're making me lie. I don't believe in this. This is not what I want. Roop spoke to reporters after the game, saying he wrote the verse and he wore it to share God's covenant and the promise that he makes to us and his faithfulness and his mercy. It's just something I believe in, he said. We're going to hear from him in a minute. Giants manager Tony Vitello was supportive of the move, telling reporters that the players have the freedom to do what they think is best. But the league, no, we don't agree. We're all in this together, even if this sucks. Look, why does everything that the left demand have to be something that we have to give up, something that we have to acquiesce to? I don't need to take a knee for you. If that's what you want to do, you do you. Leave me the hell out of it. That's not a difficult concept. Well, ABC 7 is on this. We'll play. What do you think works best, Brock? Do you think ABC 7 first and then the picture? We'll start with the news report. So ABC 7 in San Francisco is all over Major League Baseball's pushback against the pushback. And it's really silly because in no way is the left ever inclusive of any kind of dissension from its demands. Listen.
The palms here at Oracle are decked out for Pride Month. Pride Night is supposed to be a celebration of inclusion here at Oracle, but it's now drawing a lot of backlash and intervention from Major League Baseball towards several players. Giants Pride Night at Oracle, an annual June fan event for the LGBTQ plus community. But for many, the event was marred when 3 Giants pitchers, Landon Roop, JT Brubaker, and Ryan Walker, were seen with the biblical verse, Genesis 9:12-16, written on their rainbow pride caps, which says the rainbow is a symbol of a covenant between God and all living creatures.
They defaced the pride rainbow with a Bible verse telling the LGBT community that they do not own the rainbow, that God owns the rainbow.
Sid Ziegler, co-founder of Outsports, calls the Pride Night display disgraceful.
If I were a Giants fan, I would never attend a game again.
In a statement, the Giants organization telling ABC7 Eyewitness News, the San Francisco Giants are proud to support Pride Night and the LGBTQ plus community. We also respect that individuals may make personal choices about participating in team activations. We understand that the choices by individual players has caused pain and anger to many in the LGBTQ plus community, and we're sorry for that. Those choices do not change our organization's commitment to inclusion, belonging, and creating a welcoming environment for all. For Ziegler, the statement falls short.
For the Giants to take no responsibility and essentially stand by their players is gross.
It was disheartening.
SF Pride Executive Director Suzanne Ford had this to say.
I work for San Francisco Pride, and I think if I espoused beliefs that weren't inclusive, my board of directors would have a problem with that. And I think the same thing goes with these Giants players. They work for the San Francisco Giants.
Landon Roop told the Mercury News he meant no hate at all. It's what he stands for as a believer in God. Major League Baseball is now involved, issuing a warning to the players.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Be inclusive, damn it. Put it on your hat and wear it and like it, or we're going to sue you. Says that kind, loving party of inclusion and hope and change. This is Landon Roop reclaiming the rainbow during the team's Pride Night. Listen.
The Genesis written on your cap. What was the specific chapter and verse that you have?
Yeah, 12 through 16. It's just about God's covenant and a promise that He makes to us, that His faithfulness and His mercy, and it's just kind of something I believe in, and I stand firm in that. And thankfully, we live in a country where we have the freedom to believe what we want. So. Yeah, and express what we want.
It's like I don't mean any hate, but this is what I believe. I'm not a clone trooper. I'm not a rubber stamp. I'm not some pawn in your game. What matters to me is something a lot different than what matters to you. And the transgender guy who says his name was Suzanne, who spoke for the Pride people. If you'd stop trying to shove everything down everybody's throats, if you stopped having parades where men without pants riding unicycles ride by my kids, right? If you stop promoting deviance like, on the White House lawn, transgender people with breast implants taking off their shirts. I'm sorry. That's not what America wants. Now, if that's what you want to do in your private time, that's on you. But don't put a gun to our heads and force us to do what you want. And then be outraged and offended when somebody wrote a biblical verse. Oh, blah, blah, blah. The Giants apologized for the pain. The pain the Bible verse caused the gay community. Oh, God has entered into covenant with all people. Oh, I'm so offended and threatened by that. Stop it. It's a mental illness. There's a problem if this is literally what fuels your day, making other people do what they don't want to do. Right? And isn't it weird that the MLB never said a word last year when Clayton Kershaw wrote the same thing on his hat? Because that's what he did. It's odd that the MLB is warning the Christian San Francisco Giants pitchers who wrote Bible verses on their pride hats. But the league never made a public statement and, to my knowledge, never gave former Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw a warning for writing the same verse on his stupid pride hat last season. See, it isn't about equal. Because there's nothing a gay person can't do anymore in this country that we can, who are straight, any more than there's anything a black person can't do in this country that a white person can. There's nothing that a woman is not allowed to do in this country that a guy can do. But we've got to have some kind of victim. There's got to be some scale that's not fair. Ugh! And let's go out and do something completely idiotic to make things even. It's not even. They need extra. They want extra. They want Juneteenth, right? Black people do. Let's get Juneteenth. Why? Because it's about extra. It's pathological.
I don't understand it. It's some of the pirate games here in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure they do it all over Major League Baseball. They have Christian nights. They don't wear hats for it. You don't have to stay to the game. The players don't have to be involved. They do it after the game for people who want to stay. But there's no hats. There's no players forced to do it. It's just.
How about bring your dog to the park night, right?
Pup night.
Pup night, right? Nobody's wearing a picture of a poodle on their hat. Hurry, put it on, do it now. Arr, arr, arr. It's lunacy, and it's called out beautifully in our final ending audio soundbite for you. And I encourage you to stay here. Please, please stay for the ending here. Because Tim Tebow and the powerful story of God's love, why the struggle over pride is something so much bigger than a rainbow. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Many thanks to Kelly Morgan and Morgane's Fitness for being the muscle behind us. You got another 4 days, I think, of Kelly's merchandise sale, but the bigger thing that she does is help people reclaim their lives and their bodies. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it's a lot of moving parts. But when you get to that point and you're ready, you might not be right now, but when you get to that point and you're ready and you're like, you know what? I've made excuses for a long time. I'm too busy. I'll do it after the summer. Just let me get through this exam, whatever it is, to not get your body back in shape. When you're ready to do that, go to moregainsfitness.com and hit the 90 Ignite button and sign up for 3 months of you signing a pledge to yourself that you're going to show up, you're going to eat the right foods, you're going to get your steps in, you're going to drink the requisite water, you're going to get rest, you're going to take care of yourself. But you're also going to start lifting weights. You're also going to start exercising. And that is how that secret combination comes together. Kelly's there to help you. She knows how to do it. She was a Boba Laddie once as well. And she changed it. 90 days can make a huge difference. moregainsfitness.com.
Don't let them fool you. This Pride Night stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All money grab. You'll go in and you people won't, I won't. But there will be people who go and who never buy a hat ever. That will buy that stupid hat for $40. This is all
to prove that they're good people. It's like voting for Barack Obama. Well, he's black. And I'm not a racist.
This is nothing but like the hockey night, Pride nights, where they have the jerseys that they wore during warm-ups and then auction them off. It's the same thing. It's nothing more than a money grab grift. And isn't it funny that it has to do with something on the left?
My friends who are gay, I ask them, would you ever go for a pride?
No, that's gay.
That's gay. I'm gay and it's gay. And I'm like, it's gay. It's gay. Yeah. Like I support in ways like I got ordained to do a same-sex marriage. Okay. You can deny that that's something that I should have done, but I cared very deeply about friends of mine who asked me to marry them. I was deeply moved by that. And I'm extraordinarily happy for people if they want to get married. That's you. It's your choice. It's not my business. So stop making it my business by forcing me to pay attention to what you're forcing your players to do. And they didn't do anything malignant. Nobody had anything to say that was negative. They're like, look, you do you.
No,
I just want to do me.
Who did negative? The inclusive people.
Yeah, the gay guy from
We're
the...
so
yeah.
hurt.
I'm
This
so
is
offended.
outraged.
A Bible verse next to my ugly rainbow stuff? What?
Yeah.
The outrage.
Like I said, I don't even like the DH, let alone the pride flag hat. You know.
I don't like that you have to start on second base for the right
Overtime or extra innings.
Extra innings. It's like, gee whiz. Can we just get back
I'm
to...
not even big on the new thing where you can see the catcher tap their hat. Although I have to say on Friday,
You did that.
the ump missed a call, and I'm like,
Was that before or after you took one in the balls?
before. Maybe that was God's way of.
Telling you should go out into...
Don't forget the
second
next shot I
base.
took too.
I know. We've already been over
It's
the
like a
apple and
throat
banana.
punch.
I know. President Trump was speaking live at the G7. We thought he was going to dip into some Iran stuff, and he did. But I was talking about how there's been an erosion. I feel like we've walked away from the father, not just dad, the father of the family. Societally speaking, if you don't have that family unit, kids slip through the cracks. And then you have generational problems. We need dads back. You're so important. But we also need God, the Father. The idea that you're always being judged in some way and you don't want to let somebody down, and that somebody is God. That the day that you die, you don't want to be judged for all the bad stuff, so you better make sure it's good stuff. God. Tim Tebow has been a phenomenal ambassador to faith in sports, football. And he talks about why the struggle, this particular soundbite means so much more to me than the struggle over the rainbow. In 2009, Tim Tebow provided the evidence of God, if you will, in a viral post that reveals the statistical impossible consistency with the Bible verse and the former football player. He wrote John 3:16 under his eyes during a national championship game. Something like 90 million people searched that verse that night. And exactly 3 years later to the day, Tim Tebow played his first NFL playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is what happened.
I was playing for the Denver Broncos, and we were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL playoffs. And we win. Surreal moment, and it's just like, it's unbelievable. I walk in this big room packed full of media. There's all these curtains out front, and I'm standing in front, and Patrick, our PR guy, there steps in front of me. He said, "Timmy, do you realize what happened?" And I'm like, "Yeah. We just beat the Steelers. We're going to play the Patriots." He's like, "Yeah, I know what happened, dude. Like, why'd you ask me such a silly question?" Then he goes, "No. Do you know what happened?" And I'm like, "I thought I did." "Patrick, what happened?" Because you could just see this different demeanor. And he said, "Timmy, no, you don't know what happened. Timmy, it's exactly 3 years from the night that you wore John 3:16 under your eyes." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's so cool." And he said, no, you don't realize it. Timmy, during the game, you threw for 316 yards. And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Timmy, during the game, your yards per rush were 3.16. Your yards per completion were 31.6. The ratings for the night were 31.6. And the time of possession was 31.6. And during the night, over 90 million people have Googled John 3:16. It's the #1 trending thing all over. And I think he even mentioned something about there were so many people tweeting about it that like Twitter even froze or something like that. At least that was what I was told. And I was standing in that hallway. And I don't think I had the reaction that a lot of people think I did. Because I went from a high and a celebration and a joy to a conviction and a disappointment.
Why?
Because when he was telling me that, I knew that God was convicting me, saying, Timmy, you thought tonight was about a game. You thought it was about all of these things. It's never just about a game. I didn't die for a game.
I've never seen that. Brock showed me that this morning. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. I mean, you have to step back sometimes and see the good versus evil battle that's going on in our country, in our world. You have to see this. Is this God versus Satan? What is it? No matter where you are on whatever echelon of religious or spiritualness that you have, you can't bake this all into a cake of coincidence. All of these things happening and what's coming our way this summer for the 250th, it's not by chance. It's on purpose. How many times have I said on this program, and I mean it, you were made for this moment. To my 5 sons, Generation Z men, all men now, you were made for this moment, boys. You've been through a lot. You've seen a lot. But you've been chosen along with all these other young people. The future of this country is going to rest in your hands. I believe that. And I believe in you. Have faith. Believe. I do. And it sure beats the alternative. Thank you so much for being a part of the program today. I love you guys. Let's do it again tomorrow. Do I say the same thing every day? I do. I'll come up with new closing stuff. Have a great day. Peace.